All right. Let's give everybody a chance to get back in. We had to do a reset. So we'll give everybody somewhere around the middle to the end of this song, and then we'll get back into our discussion. Dominique, he said we're getting way too hung up. Let me read this after the song drop. Yeah, we'll read this in a moment. All right, let's get back in, Cowboy fans. We won't go through our normal roll call because we've already done that in the last video. So we're going to go ahead and let this play through for just a minute or two. And then we're going to get right back into this discussion that we were having about Jackson Smith and Jigba and this issue of getting George Pickens signed and all the hoopla around George Pickens. And as I said earlier, George Pickens is going to have a lot to prove even after the extension. Y'all get ready. This conversation isn't over because even more pressure will be on George Pickens because people will say, now that he got his deal, how will he perform? It's going to be a lot of pressure on George Pickens. So I fully expect him to live up to the expectations because Dak Prescott is that kind of leader. And I believe George Pickens is going to be even more lethal next season, right along with CeeDee Lamb. All right. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. As the old Welcome Back Carter song used to go. I'm showing my age. Welcome back. This is our discussion that we have going on right now. We're going to continue that discussion. We're going to pick right up within Jigba versus Pickens and what I was saying. Big Rombowski. Well, it's Take Two Thursday with the G. Yeah, man. We're going to try to get it going again like we was having some bad buffering issues. All right. Let's get this conversation going. Get this conversation going. So, again, the reason why I believe the Cowboys are probably going to be able to land George Pickens probably somewhere between 33 and 37. And Jigba has his deal coming up. And I fully expect Jigba to be at about 37 or somewhere in that range. But again, I think what's going to help the Cowboys out is a lot of people viewed Michael Parsons as the elite pass rusher, and he had a 4-year of consistency, what people would basically call historical numbers. George Pickens just had his breakout season. So the Cowboys have at least I believe, they will have a lot more to play with and a lot more to push back on Mulugeta with as far as GP goes. Because I think there are very few teams. And I don't know, man. It could possibly be what? Maybe like three or four teams that would be willing to pay George Pickens $40 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But I'm sure there's about 3 or 4 teams that would be willing to do it. But I do believe the Cowboys will get GP signed because in Jigba, will probably be around that 30, 35, 36, $37 million deal. And so, again, I think the difference in Michael Parsons and George Pickens is George Pickens still has some naysayers out there. For as much as some people say the price is getting driven up on GP, I think we could also say that maybe that price isn't getting driven up because there are still people out there who have their doubts about GP. There are a lot of people out there still have those doubts about GP. So I believe the Cowboys are going to get GP signed because I'm telling you right now, let me tell you the argument that was being had the day I was listening to the radio, and this is kind of what got me into the Njigba discussion. In Jigba, no one's going to argue that in Jigba or GP are better than Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. There are some who will argue that GP is not better than Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I believe he's better than Njigba. I really do. I believe he's better than Njigba. So I still say that puts, if CD is at around 34 and a half, that could only put GP at around 35 or 36. I don't believe D Block in the crib. Welcome to the congregation. D Block, I do not believe they're going to do a sign and trade. Now, let me explain to you why the sign and trade of George Pickens does not make sense. Y'all ready for this? I'm just going to give you plain common sense. Why the GP discussion of tagging him, and because you can't get a deal done, you're going to trade him to the Raiders and you're going to get Max Crosby. So let's think about what we're going to do. So you're telling me, and we're telling me, that we're going to trade George Pickens and we're going to lessen the potency of our offense, of having literally a top 2 or 3 offense in the league, only to get Max Crosby. Now, let me show you where this doesn't make sense. Does Max Crosby, does he boost the Dallas Cowboys to a top 5, top 10 defense? We do realize with George Pickens, we're a top 3 offense. We're a top 3 offense with GP. You get rid of GP, you're not going to be a top 3 offense. You're going to probably go right back down to around somewhere in around 10, somewhere between 8 and 15. With George Pickens, we are a guaranteed top 3 offense. Max Crosby does not boost the Dallas Cowboys defense to a top 5 defense. This is where the argument falls apart. Why would you get rid of a top 3 offense just to go to a mid-pack defense? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you lessen the strength of your team so that you can go to mid to 8, between 8 and 12? Even then, you're going to lessen your offense that even an 8 to 12 defense won't be enough. You get rid of GP, you better be a number 1 defense. Straight up. You better be a number 1. You better be taken to a number 1 defense, because it's going to be like that if you let GP go. You got to keep GP. You don't lessen the strength of your offense. You keep GP. Let me give you another reason. Can I give you common sense? So what did I tell you? What did I tell you that I believe that GP is going to fall? I believe that GP is going to fall somewhere between 34, 37, maybe 38 at the most. So why would you get rid of GP, not extend him, and say, well, we can't pay GP 3 years or $35 million a year, 3 years, 35 or 36 or 37. Can I let you feast your eyes on this? Let me show you why this doesn't make sense. Anybody realize what cap hit you're going to take from one Max Crosby? In 2026, his base salary is $30 million. $2.6 million signing bonus. $2.5 million restructure. Active roster bonus of $782,000. Max Crosby hits you for $35 million in 2026. Y'all ready for the next part? Y'all ready for the next part of this craziness? Who in the chat believes that Max Crosby in 2027 on the last year of his deal, who in 2027 believes that Max Crosby at 30 years of age is going to play on a base salary of $29 million? Or do you think he's going to be either holding out or he's going to be trying to get a new deal in 2027? And do you think that if he comes in here and goes off the chain and gets 10, 12, 15 sacks, making $36 million a season, you really think he's playing for $30 million a season the next year? I promise you he's not. Max Crosby for the Dallas Cowboys will be another headache. He will be another headache in 2027. If you tag George, you might get him for $29 million. It's around $28.7. So you're going to get him for $29 million. But if you get Max, you're getting him for $35 million, basically $36 million. And I promise you, George will walk out the door in 27 because you won't want to pay the second franchise tag on George. Max Crosby, when you get him in this year, Max Crosby is going to want another deal. This is why this whole Max Crosby, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. You would literally sabotage the franchise by signing and trading George Pickens for a player who's more expensive. You get Max Crosby, $36 million this year, but next year is going to be the problem. It's going to be the problem. You can't do it. I'm just telling us, Cowboy fans, we can't do it. It doesn't make sense to sign and trade for Max Crosby. If the Cowboys want Max Crosby, what the Cowboys need to do is figure out how to get Max Crosby and keep GP. I say you go ahead and extend GP. Don't let Seattle set the market. Cowboys, y'all set the market. Y'all try to set the market with GP somewhere between 34 and 37. Y'all set the market. Don't foolishly let Seattle set the market. Because if you let Seattle set the market, it's going to be a problem. Don't let Seattle set the market. You set the market. You get GP in for somewhere around $37 million. Maybe you get him for between 34 and 37. Get him for a 3-year deal, somewhere around $65 million guaranteed. Put clauses in that contract. Put character clauses in the contract. That if GP do this, if GP do that, if GP do that, then you can take money away from him or you can make that deal null and void. But you protect yourself, but you still get GP that deal. But you get him locked down for 3 seasons. Because with Max Crosby, whoever gets Max Crosby, you're either going to sign him and extend him or you're going to sign him and get yourself ready for a holdout in 2027. Max Crosby don't make sense for the Cowboys. Not at that current state. He don't make sense for the Cowboys. The Cowboys, if they bring in Max Crosby, they got to be prepared too. Cowboy fans, we got to understand. We bring in Max Crosby, we better be prepared for a deal. $35 million. Now, you could go in there. You could go in there if you want to. He's got a void year. It looks like there, and I don't even see a void year as a matter of fact. I don't see a void year on him. So basically, you'd have to get him, pay him $35, and then the following season, see if he's going to play on that $29 million. But I'm telling you, he's not going to play on it. Max ain't going to play on this. I'm just telling you, he's not. I guarantee you. And watch this part. Has anybody ever thought about this? Let me give you the other side of the story. Maybe nobody's thought about it. Then I'm going to come to the super chats. Anybody ever thought about this? Anybody ever thought that Max Crosby is banging on the door saying he's not going to play in Raiders country anymore? Talking about he wants to be traded. He's not going to play another down. Sounds like Myles Garrett to me. Because what if Max Crosby is actually trying to secure himself an extension? Anybody ever thought about this? All this talk about Max Crosby. Max may be trying to secure himself an extension because his deal is about to be up. And I'm telling you now, Max don't want to play on a $29 million contract. He don't want to play on $29.7 million contract. I know some of us saying we'd play a whole lifetime for that. But he's saying he ain't going to do it. Anybody ever thought Max Crosby and his camp, maybe they're trying to work an extension? Makes sense to me. Because Dallas would be crazy to bring him in on a sign and trade. Because this is literally a one-year deal, I promise you. We know how these players are doing this these days. They are rarely playing on the last year of those deals. Max ain't playing on the last year of this deal, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, he's not playing on no doggone $29 million. He ain't playing on no 26, and he ain't playing on no $27 million. I promise you, Max Crosby is not playing under those numbers. He wants to get somewhere. This is what I'm telling you. I don't know if you heard it here first, but I haven't heard anybody else make this argument. I'm telling you, this is where I believe Max Crosby is and why this don't make sense. No, Max Crosby's trying to get a deal. That's what I believe. And even if he was to be traded to another team, I guarantee you it will be a trade and extension. Because if it don't be a trade and extension, that team better get ready to pay him that $35 million for 2026, and you might as well cut him. Because I'm telling you now, he will not play on this part of the deal. He's going to hold out. I guarantee you he's going to hold out. And so, again, that's why I don't believe that makes sense as it applies to George Pickens. The sign and trade is a dumb idea. Doesn't make sense. Rombowski, let me read it again. He said, well, it's Take Two Thursday with the G. Yep, had bad connection. Brandy, what up? She said, we need Pickens, but I would like Crosby too. We can't have both. We broke. Brandy, I'm going to show you that we're not broke. I'm going to show you that we are not broke. And I'm going to show you later on in the show the restructure potential that the Dallas Cowboys have. And if the Cowboys want Max Crosby and if the Cowboys want George Pickens at the same time, believe me, if they want to, they can have it. But they have to understand something. This is it. The Cowboys would have to accept the fact that if they got Max Crosby, this is it. You just push them chips all the way to the middle of the table. This is it. It's 2026 or bust. If you extend George and you trade for Max Crosby, it's 2026 or bust. It isn't a 2027. It's 2026. You're going all in. And I'm telling you now, if they go get Max, man, you might as well, as Jerry said, bust the budget. Shoo. Man, you better destroy the salary cap for the next 5 years. Because if I go get Max Crosby, I'm just going all out this year. I don't care what I have to do. If I go and sign Max Crosby, I'm going all out this year. Bottom line, I'm going all out. I'm going all out. Because as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you now, if I really want Max Crosby, I showed you this little thing I did last night. I'm telling you now, if I'm the Cowboys and if I'm going after Max Crosby, well, let me tell you what I'm going to have to do. If I want Max Crosby, I have to be very strategic in how I'm planning my draft. Let me show you what I did last night. This is me playing GM. And I do believe the Cowboys will literally have to do this in order for this to make sense. So let me tell you what I would do if I'm the Cowboys. So last night I told you, the Cowboys have the number 12 and the number 20 pick. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm trading that 12, and I'm gonna see if I can trade back. See if I can trade back to no later than 15. And I'm going to try to get back in the second round with that pick. I'm going to take the number 20 pick. I'm going to trade back to 23. And I'm going to try to get back in the third round with that pick. So now I got me 2 number 1s still in the first round, a number 2, and a number 3. Then, watch this. Then, if I really want Max Crosby, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see first, will the Raiders bite on this particular pick? I want to see if they'll bite on the number 23 pick. Okay, we'll give you our number 23 pick. And if you want 2 first rounders, okay, we'll give you that 23rd pick. And we'll also give you our pick for next season. Now, the reason why I'm okay if I'm the Cowboys, I say, I'll give you my first round pick next season is because if this all pays off the way that I think it's going to pay off, then you're going to be drafting somewhere around 26 or 26 or higher. You're going to be at either or 26 and below, however you want to say it. You're going to be somewhere between 26 and 32. So I'll give you the number 23 pick this year, and I'll give you my number 1 draft pick next year because I'm not concerned because I believe I get there in 26. But look at what I've done in the process. I still have me a top 15 pick. But I've also, even though I don't have that number 20 or 23 pick, but I got this number 2 pick that I'm going to take from the Raiders this year. I want the Raiders number 2 pick this year, which the Raiders are drafting what? Number 1. So if I get the Raiders second round or their number 2, their second round pick, then I'm going to be at 33. So I'm still good if I'm the Cowboys. Because even though I didn't get 23, I got 33. And I still got me 2 more picks. This is what I'm doing if I'm the Cowboys. I got to be very strategic. I know I can have both of them, but I got to be very strategic in doing it. I got to make sure before I make the Max Crosby move that I can get my additional draft picks first, and then I'm going to go and start bargaining with the Raiders on, okay, this is what I'm willing to give you. And even if you had to give up that 15, you still have accomplished getting yourself a number 2 and a number 3. You've still accomplished it. So no matter how you slice it, you have got yourself 2 additional draft picks. You got yourself 2 additional draft picks. You're back in the second and the third. You got Max Crosby. You still got a first rounder at number 23. And I'm still going to tell the Raiders, and I still need a draft pick from you. Yeah, I want Max Crosby. We want Max Crosby. We're going to give you a first rounder this year, a first rounder next year. But we either want your second pick if you get that 15th or that 12th, or we want your third round pick if you get that 20th or that 23rd. You get 2 first round picks in the process. That's where I am. But I got to be strategic with Max Crosby. I can't trade Max Crosby if I'm the Cowboys. I actually can't trade Max Crosby straight up for 2 first round picks, a first round pick this season and a first round pick next season, and not get something from them other than Max Crosby in return. I'm either getting Max Crosby and a player that they have that's really good, or I'm getting Max Crosby and you're going to give me a 2 or 3. That's how I'm working this deal. That's how I'm working this deal if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. But the Max Crosby thing, This is why I keep saying, I'm laughing as people talk about the Max Crosby issue. In the grand scheme of things, it just don't make a lot of sense to me. The sign and trade of Max Crosby, it just don't make sense. The Cowboys would lessen their offense, so they would basically rob Peter to pay Paul? No. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I'm telling you, if you really start looking at what Max Crosby may actually be doing, I think Max Crosby may be trying to get an extension himself. I really do. I think Max, I think he may be trying to get himself an extension. I mean, that's the game. I mean, I understand it's the game. And especially when you start attaching your name to the Dallas Cowboys. How many times have we seen this? Some player attaches their name to the Dallas Cowboys, and then they drive their own value up. Their camp drives their own value up. So this is why I like what the Joneses are doing. Play it smooth. Play it quiet. Don't give in to all the media pressure. Don't give in to all of the nonsense with the Dallas, with the media and all of this crazy stuff. Don't do it. The only thing you need to do is be quiet. Talk to David Mulugeta. Make them understand what the value of George Pickens is, no matter how many people talk up GP, no matter how many people talk down GP. This is what I'm pretty sure that if I'm in the negotiation room with David Mulugeta, this is my discussion with David Mulugeta. David Mulugeta, GP is an incredible wide receiver, but he's not going to be the same wide receiver without Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. The argument can be made. David Mulugeta, GP is not better than Jamar Chase. He's not better than one Justin Jefferson. He's not better than Jackson Smith and Jigba, even though I believe he is. I would even hit him with, he's not better than CeeDee Lamb, even though he had a better season than CeeDee Lamb. I would really be dealing with him with those things. I really would. I would be dealing with him with all those things. We could sign and trade him. We could sign and trade him to this team or that team where it won't be that good. I would be dealing with all of that. All of that with the understanding of, but we want GP to be here bad. We want GP to be here bad. And this is what we're willing to do. I mean, it's going to be a very, I'm pretty sure these discussions, because a lot of people aren't paying attention. George actually said this out of his own mouth. He hasn't talked to Jerry, but his representation is already talking to Jerry. He's already said that, and I understand why a lot of people are acting like this hasn't happened. They're already talking to his representatives. They're already talking. They're already talking. Let me read some comments here, catch up. Appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. What's going on? Hallelujah. Hallelujah is in the house. What is going on? Welcome to the congregation. What's going on, Merrill Ray? Merrill Ray said, I would rather hit a young man out of college, pay rookie money, a young Max, a young Michael, a young Reggie, a young LT. Now, I mentioned this the other day. If I were the Cowboys, this is probably the direction that I would go in. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to give up those 2 first-round picks. I really don't. I don't want to give up those 2 first-round picks. And one of the reasons why I don't want to give up those 2 first-round picks, Merrill Ray, is because I think that there are some free agents out there. I think there are going to be some unrestricted free agents out there. Let me show you something else I got. We're going to start discussing. I got a project I'm working on. Y'all remember last year I did the road to the playoffs. Well, I got a new project I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on a new project, and we're going to track the Cowboys from now to the beginning of the season. And we're going to call it something like the road, the road to the Cowboys offseason. There is a road the Cowboys need to take, as a champion, if they want to get a championship, there's a road they need to take, Merrill Ray, we're going to deal with. And I think for me, I think it would be nice to have Max Crosby. I just don't want to give up the farm for Max Crosby because I can clearly see a situation where Max Crosby is actually looking for a payday. Look at that deal I just showed you. No, I think what Max Crosby is doing is exactly the playbook that Myles Garrett used. Do y'all remember what Myles Garrett said? I don't want to play another down. I don't want to play another down in Cleveland. Where is he at now? Where is he at now? I don't know. Y'all tell me, where is he at now? Where was the last sighting of Myles Garrett? Because Myles Garrett said he wasn't going to play another down in Cleveland. He don't want to play in Cleveland. Where is he now? Now, speaking of where Merrill Ray is, I think the Cowboys could go this direction. I forgot to get the person who put this up on X. I should have got their name so I could give them credit for it. But boy, they compiled a powerful list. And we're going to be going over this list starting next week. Because a lot of people are talking about the draft. I honestly believe it's too early to be talking about the draft and doing mock drafts. No, what we need to be focusing on is the Cowboys free agency. And so when you look at it, edge rusher is where the Cowboys need to be focusing. I still say the Cowboys can be off the chain if they got some of these players or one or two of these players on this list rather than getting Max Crosby. I truly believe it. Our main man, Chanel, he doesn't want Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson, I believe he's going to be a top, he's going to be in demand. Jalen Phillips. I got a feeling, though, Philly is probably going to try to bring Jalen Phillips back. But if you want some depth, Khalil Mack is out there. Another player that I think could probably do well for the Cowboys. I wouldn't be so quick to sneeze at Joey Bosa. There's Josh Uche. Cameron Jordan is going to be out there more than likely. Draymond Jones, Joseph Asai. Of course, Jadeveon Clowney, I believe the Cowboys are going to re-sign him. You got Adolphe Owe from the Los Angeles Chargers. Boye Mafe from Seattle. You got, look like Kwity Paye. If you wanted some depth, you got Hassan Reddick from Tampa Bay. You got El-Qaeda Muhammad, Detroit. Auden K, Tennessee. You could bring in, let's just say you couldn't get. Let's just say you don't want to do Max Crosby. Well, you could come in here for the price of Max Crosby, and you could probably get two of these players. You could probably get two of these players. The Cowboys are going to have some opportunities in free agency. And if Christian Parker and this coaching staff can do what we believe that they can do, I believe the Cowboys can still be, by the end of the season, not the beginning, but by the end of the season, I believe the Cowboys can still be between 10 and 15 if everything is going right as far as the way the coaching and the system and the execution of the system is going. I believe the Cowboys could get one of these players and still be good. I think the key is you got to make sure you bring back Jadeveon Clowney. I bring back Jadeveon Clowney. If I can get Trey Hendrickson for a reasonable price, I'll get him. But I'll be honest with you. The way I saw Jalen Phillips playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, shoo. And if I'm Christian Parker, I'm on Jerry Jones' neck right now. Jerry, forget Max Crosby. Jalen Phillips is who you need to try to get. Jalen Phillips is the one you need to go after. Let's see what's being offered for Jalen Phillips. Let's see if Philly going to break the bank on Jalen Phillips. Because if Philly don't break the bank on Jalen Phillips, then if I'm the Cowboys, y'all remember what I told you? I'm going to put this as a part of my plan when we start talking about this. What did I tell you my plan was? Day one, I got to pick one player I'm willing to overpay for. I'm not telling you overpay as in Max Crosby money. All of these players I would assume would be under Max Crosby money. Which one of these players on this edge rusher list am I willing to overpay for? If I had to take my pick of who I was going to overpay for, I'm going to overpay for Jalen Phillips. I'm not giving him Max Crosby money. That's not what I'm telling you. But if I'm going to overpay, I want to see, can I bust the budget on Jalen Phillips? Trey Hendrickson, I'm a little leery. I don't know if his injury is phantom injury or a real one. But I saw Jalen Phillips in action. Man, Jalen Phillips jumped off the tape for Philly. I got a feeling Philly going to try to bust the budget on him. But I tell you this, I at least want to try to get in the sweepstakes. But if I can't get Jalen Phillips, I'm pretty sure I could get Joey Bosa cheaper. I would see what's going on with Joey Bosa and his health. I would look at bringing in, of course, we already got Jadeveon. Maybe I'd look at Boye, Hassan Reddick if I wanted. I still think Reddick might have some gas left in the tank, and I believe you could probably get him in on a bargain. And I don't think he would be a bargain type of signing. And maybe for me, he'd probably be a day two guy. But if I can't get Jalen Phillips, I would go down and see if I could get two of these guys and create me a rotation in there between Clowney, Ezraku, who I fully expect to be better this year. Between James Houston, I would get one or two of these guys. And now, because I've already showed you, because I've already gotten me about a couple of extra draft picks at number, I've gotten back in the second and the third round, I'll go get me another edge rusher in the second round. I'll go get me another one. I mean, that's what I would do if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I think the Cowboys got a lot of great options here that if they don't want to, they don't have to break the bank on, they don't have to just alter the draft and throw and get rid of draft picks and then have to be dealing with Max Crosby and renegotiating another deal for Max Crosby in 2027. Because I'm telling you, the more I look at this thing about Max Crosby, I just think this may be a ploy by his camp to get an extension. I think it may be a ploy. Y'all tell me what y'all think. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the Emmitt Smith segment of this thing. Emmitt Smith talking about George Pickens. Let me read some of these comments real quick. Read some of these comments, and then we're going to roll back. We're going to get back to Emmitt. Let me see here. All right. Jeremy Betts said, bro, they're going to have $121 million, y'all. They just need to get on the ball and restructure contracts. Jeremy Betts, I'm about to show you something. They're going to have more than $121 million. The Cowboys are going to have more than $121 million if they want it. He said they just need to restructure contracts and cut some of the dead weight they don't want or need. It's their Dak and CD said they don't care. Yeah, don't worry. Those triggers are already built into those contracts. And I'm going to show you where in the restructure portion of our show tonight, I'm going to show you where the Cowboys, money isn't the issue. The salary cap is a myth in the grand scheme of things, but you still have to understand, and this is the part that people have to understand now. This is where the salary cap isn't a myth. If you're going to push money into void years, you have to understand that those are years that you will be paying for a player, possibly that is no longer on your team. So understand this part and understand what I'm saying very closely. When you start playing around with those void years, you are pushing all the chips to the middle of the table, and you got to hit. You have to hit. This is where Howie Roseman has beat the system. Howie Roseman pushes all the chips in the middle of the table. He puts all those contracts together and puts all those void years in there. But where Howie Roseman has been successful He's hit the lottery not once, but he hit it twice. He hit it twice. He went to the Super Bowl in the 2023-2024 season. Barely lost that game. Turned right back around 2 years later. Right back in the Super Bowl. And this time he won in dominant fashion. So when you do this, this is where the salary cap, it's not mythological. Because once you push so much money in those void years, there has to be a point to where you empty it. There has to be a point to where you say, okay, now that we got all these contracts, now how do we get rid of some of them? We got to cut some people. We got to weather the storm. And we got to be willing to say, okay, we'll have a 10-7 season. We know full well that we're going to go to the playoffs, but we know we're probably not going to go to the Super Bowl. The Rams did the same thing. The Rams pushed all that money into the void years when they got a super team, wins the Super Bowl, recalibrated, and then we saw them back again close to the Super Bowl this past season. They came right back. They got right back close to the Super Bowl because they got rid of some of those contracts. They redid Matthew Stafford, and they got right back in. Went and got Devontae Adams, did a couple other things. So this is where that salary cap isn't mythological. When you're pushing all that money to the void years, somewhere in there, you got to hit the lottery. Because if you don't, you're going to have to do it again. You got to hit the reset button because now you got to empty that money and then fix it to where you can start building up the void years again on another set of players. So that's where it's not mythological. That's where it's not mythological. You have got to make sure that when you're doing whatever they're going to do, if the Cowboys do it, man, you got to hit. You can't keep doing it. You can't carry it year after year after year. Around every 3 to 4 years, you got to empty that bucket. It's the same thing when you eat and drink. You can eat and drink all you want to, but guess what? Eventually, you got to go to the bathroom. Eventually, you got to go to the bathroom. So whatever energy that food gives you, whatever fuel it gives you, you better accomplish it. Because if not, you're going to have to start it all over again. Freddie Morales, El Chuco. Yeah, Dominique. And the issue is, even with the salary cap increasing, that salary cap, with the increase, just like this year, it increased. It helps you, but it doesn't stop you from being over the cap. So you still have to keep working and working and working that money. You still have to keep working and working that money. You do. You have to keep working that money. And this is where Howie Roseman has been so awesome. He's been able to fill up the bucket, empty the bucket. Fill up the bucket, empty the bucket. You can't keep the bucket full. You can't keep the void year money full. You can't keep the dead cap money full. You got to figure out ways to get that money out so that you can recalibrate again, because you're going to have a whole new set of players that you got to start extending. So that's where the salary cap isn't mythological. So understand what I'm telling you again. If the Cowboys push all the chips to the middle of the table, which I do believe this is what they're about to do, well, you got to hit. Bottom line, you got to hit. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. You got to hit. Because if you don't hit, you got to empty that bucket in the next 2 to 3 seasons. And it's just like saying, okay, we got to kind of restart. We got to kind of restart. We got a whole new brood of players that we have to extend. For example, DeMarion Overshown, we're going to have to pay the piper on him. We're going to have to pay the piper on DeMarion Overshown if he turns out to be what he is. There are players like that. We're going to have to start. We're going to have to be considering in the future. We're going to have to be recalibrating. All right, so Let's get to this thing with Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt Smith is having a conversation on Nightcap. And I thought this conversation was very interesting. I'm telling y'all, man, Emmitt Smith was very chatty on Radio Row. Very chatty. But when he started having this conversation about George Pickens, my spidey senses start tingling.
Hello, it's your favorite sports thunk here.
And I wonder if some of this conversation, as I'm thinking about this in my mind of hindsight is 2020, I'm wondering if Emmitt is saying some of these things about GP. I'm wondering if he's saying some of these things because we got to realize, man, Emmitt is a homer. And I do believe that Emmitt wants the Cowboys to re-sign GP. I think Emmitt may be playing some gamesmanship here because maybe Emmitt doesn't want the Cowboys to break the bank on George Pickens. Anybody ever thought like that? Maybe he doesn't want the Cowboys to break the bank on George Pickens. He would love for the Cowboys to get GP at $30 million. Hey, maybe he's talking like this because he doesn't want him to break the bank. He wants GP to get signed. He makes that blatantly clear. But now as I'm starting to think about what's going on out here, maybe he's just saying what he's saying because he doesn't want him to break the bank. Let me read a couple of comments, then we're going to hit play. Demetrius Noel, the Crosby deal isn't worth it. It doesn't make sense. I just explained it, and I'm pretty sure you already understood it. I don't think it makes sense. And the more I think about it, I'm telling you, you heard it here first. Maybe you haven't heard it here first. Maybe someone else is talking about this too. I'll just tell you what I think this is. Has anybody not considered that maybe the Max Crosby plan is an extension and not from the Dallas Cowboys or anybody else? Max seems to be playing the same game that Myles Garrett played. People talking about he told Tom Brady he's not going to play another down in Las Vegas. Okay, let him come with a contract extension. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. Last time I heard Myles Garrett wasn't going to play in Cleveland no more. I don't know. Anybody tell me where Myles Garrett is? Brandon Cupp, he said, I'm not giving up nothing for Crosby, for real, for real. Yeah. Brandon Cupp said Miami Hurricanes got edge rushers available, Clemson and Texas Tech. If we give up capital, it's for these cats. Let Crosby suffer. Money doesn't equal a Super Bowl. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I say if you want Crosby, I just think you got to do some of the things that I just did. I say, okay, if they want a first rounder, then you go in and first say, okay, you want a first rounder? Okay, so let's see if we can do this around the draft time. And if they don't want to do it around the draft time, then let him go wherever he wants to go. But if I'm them, okay, let's do it like this then. So we're going to trade this pick back, or we're going to trade this pick back. We want to still be in the first. We want to get a second, and then we'll trade you that pick, whichever one it be. If you trade back to 15, if you trade back to 23, we'll give you one of those picks. But we still want to make sure before we do that, we want to make sure that we can get back in the second or the third. So you're going to give us a second or a third this year, and we'll give you a first and a first this year and next year. That's where I would be going with this thing. Bash, no doubt about it. Pickens is better than A.J. Brown. Rose said, I keep Pickens. Y'all begged them to get CD some help and now trying to trade him. Ain't no way I'm letting Pickens leave. I'm with you. David Everett. Only way I do it is they take one this year and one next year. And the reason why I say I'll do one this year, I would see if they would take the one that's going to be at 20 and if I can trade it back to 23, they'll take 20. And if we keep the 20, I want them to give me a third. I want to get back in the third round if I give them my 20. Because I'm going to still get me an extra pick. Keek said, gee, what we need to do is take care of priorities instead of worrying along the outside noise. Yeah, I'm with you. GP, Javonte, Clowney, Butter, Aubrey need to be agreed before free agency. Quiet is kept. Aubrey going to cost. You know, Brandon Aubrey's deal, I think, is a much simpler deal. You're basically talking at about $6.5 million a year for a kicker. The Brandon Aubrey thing is the one I'm shocked they haven't got done already. I mean, come on. You can't let go of Brandon Aubrey. And if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like the Cowboys are going to try to put him out there. Somebody said for a second round tender. We'll see what happens. Demetrius said they're trying to sabotage the chemistry with Dak. The league is terrified of what they've seen with GP. Yeah, I believe I can buy into what you're saying. Brandon Cub said Jeter's shirt is hidden, but the fit with the red tie was atmospheric. Yes, appreciate you. Yeah. Dominique, I think last year's draft class was pretty good. I do. I think last year's draft class was really good. We got to let it develop. I think Ezeraku is going to pay dividends. I think he'll be better than what a lot of people expect. So Donovan Ezeraku, I think that was a good draft pick. I think Savon Revel Jr. was a good draft pick. Ty Booker was a good draft pick. We'll see what Jay Toya turns out to be. Shamar James, yet to be seen. He's shown flashes, but he also showed that he needs a lot of work. Jaden Blue, I think we're going to see the fruition of Jaden Blue this year. I think Jaden Blue's going to put on about 10 pounds. I think this is one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, they said they want him to do. They want him to put on a little bit of weight, and then we'll see Phil Maffa. So last year's draft, Dominique, is yet to be seen. But I will tell you the drafts before those, the Cowboys have had quite a few misses. They've had quite a few misses. But this year, I got to give it to them. The past season, I think the draft was good. Ty Booker was excellent. Donovan Ezeraku, we're going to find out, and I said this even last year, that if the Cowboys went to a 3-4, Donovan Ezeraku would play perfectly in a 3-4. So let's just be patient. Because again, I showed you last night what the Seattle Seahawks did, and those picks that they picked, it took them 2 to 3 seasons to come to fruition, and now those players are devastating. They're devastating now. Pooby D, yeah, I agree with you. He said, yeah, earlier, quality over quantity. Keep both picks and go defense. Yeah, and Pooby D, I still have in my mind, even if I don't get Max Crosby, if I'm at 12, and if I can get the player I want at 14 or 15, I'm willing to trade back to a team to get that 14th or 15th spot. I'm trading no less than 3 spots back, or no more than 3 spots back. I would trade 12 to 14 or 15, and I'd get me a second-round pick. So now I'm back in the second round, plus I still got my 2 first rounds. I would also trade my 20th pick and go no further back than 23 and see if somebody wants that. If there's a player that they want, and I can still get a player that I want, then I'm going to trade back on that pick, and I'm going to get me a 3rd-round pick and still be in the first round twice. And I'm going to go all defense. I'm going to go all defense on those picks. That's what I'm doing if I'm the Cowboys. Yep, quality over quantity. No doubt about it. All right, let's get into this thing with Emmett. I think Emmett has some interesting things to say on Nightcap. Let's check it out.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without
at A&M.
That's dope.
And so
He can beat.
Man, I don't know if y'all saw these interviews with Emmitt Smith, but I don't know what this Wi-Fi box was that Emmitt Smith was peddling. But boy, he was putting that dang on thing up everywhere, showing people that Wi-Fi box. And so I'm not watching his pockets, but I tell you this, I bet they paid Emmitt some money.
He is in the right place.
Sample size and how great he can. They've gotten on me. A question too, huh?
Go ahead.
I got a very important question because we're dealing with someone here, the greatest star, the greatest player to wear that star on his helmet. So I've always had a dialogue with Cowboys fans.
Mhm.
They've gotten on me.
They got on you for
Calling me
what?
Selfish.
For what?
Because I'm thinking about George Pickens
Right.
and how valuable he is
Right.
and what he was able to show.
What's going
in a
on,
small
Angel
sample
Eyes?
size and how great he can be
Right.
in the right situation. It's time for him to get paid. I would like to know your thoughts and my thoughts before you go, is him going to a team where he can maximize his true value.
Miss Matrix,
What
Rico
do you think?
Jones.
King's getting paid.
I would say George Pickens is at the right place. He is in the right place. He has a place where he can flourish. He has a place right alongside CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Because I think you have to have a Batman and a Robin together. Irvin had Harper.
Now, I'm starting to realize as I'm listening to this again for like the fourth time, Emmett wants GP to be here. But as I'm listening to him talk now, I think what Emmett is getting at is he wants him to be signed. He just don't want him to break the bank. He don't want the Cowboys to sign like I had talked about earlier in the season, making him the highest paid wide receiver. Emmett is saying, we want GP. He recognizes the talent of GP, but this is why he's going to come back and make the argument about GP in this number one thing, because now it's making sense to me. I don't think he wants GP to break the bank on the Cowboys, and that's why he's saying what he's saying.
Rice had John Taylor.
Yes.
And even when you go back to
Swan and Stalwart.
and Swan and Stalwart.
Yes, yes.
So you have to have that kind of scenario. And I think what you saw was a glimpse of how good he can really become in a system that supports that type of environment.
Yes.
Poobie D, where you at? Where you at, Poobie D? I know you fully agree with this. Poobie D, I know you fully agree with this. I know you fully agree. See, Emmett is explaining something. The same thing I said that if I was sitting in a room with Mulugeta, I would be explaining the same thing that Emmett is explaining. GP isn't GP anywhere else but Dallas. That's what I would be explaining to Mulugeta. GP isn't GP. GP wouldn't be getting all the attention he's getting right now had he not came to Dallas and Dak Prescott did what he does. Dak Prescott gets receivers paid. And George Pickens, I'm taking nothing away from him, is an exceptional talent. And Dak Prescott helped him showcase it. So Emmett wants to explain. He's saying the same thing I would be saying. If I'm sitting down with Mulugeta, this is kind of how I'm talking. This is the perfect system for GP. You might get the money somewhere else, but I don't think you'll get the level of success anywhere else.
And so my hope is that Jerry and George get this contractual stuff behind them, so
Yeah,
we don't have to be dealing with all these questions during this time of season.
yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys deserve, and the fans deserve, a very quiet, boring offseason.
When has that ever happened?
Rico Jones, let me add to the conversation. Now, Rico Jones, I'm going to tell you this. I've seen both of these players play. I'm thinking you're old enough, too. I see your nice profile pic right there. You got a little white in the beard. So I'm sure you've seen Alvin Harper play the same way I did. I believe GP is better than Alvin Harper. I believe GP is better than Alvin Harper. I don't think CD nor GP is better than Michael Irvin. But I think CD and GP may be better than Alvin Harper. And even though neither one of them are better than Michael Irvin, but because both of them are better than Alvin Harper, I would consider this duo possibly better than those two. Because the thing that I give GP is that GP seems to have some of that Michael Irvin mentality. Not the total mentality, because Michael Irvin is an alien. People don't understand Michael Irvin's mentality and will. He's an absolute alien. But I see where Emmett is coming from. Emmett is saying and talking about the duo of Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper, and that the Cowboys need that particular duo. But Rico Jones, you make an excellent point. I think George is better than Alvin Harper. But Alvin Harper also found out. He took the money and he found out. I wish Alvin would have stayed in Dallas or at least see if he could have got the money in Dallas. I say even for GP, even though I know you got to pay the tax of whatever city you play in, understand you're only talking about 8 to 9 games playing somewhere else, but you'll also have 8 to 9 games where you'll have that Texas no state tax. You'll also have that Texas cost of living. You got that Dallas, Texas market. If I'm GP, I would still stay in Dallas and take less money rather than taking all the money going to the Raiders and be waiting about 2 to 3 years and you're still not guaranteed to even win then. And I'm with you, Rico Jones. Alvin Harper, I think, is one of the worst moves he made. I mean, he got his money, but after that, he basically disappeared into the sunset.
That's why they deserve one. That's why they deserve one.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And I love the examples of the duos that you just said. But when I think about George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, those are 2 number ones. So based on what George Pickens has done and what George Pickens has showed you, whatever contract, the one that he deserved, it has to overlap that of CeeDee Lamb's.
Maybe, maybe not. First and foremost,
so you want to take a pay cut.
First of all, we don't know if he is the number one. A number one don't quit.
Now, this is the part right here where I started having some tripping with my man, Emmitt Smith. Let me bring up my sister, Angel Eyes, in the congregation. Angel Eyes, what's going on? Angel Eyes, she respectfully disagreed with me today. Now, let me clarify, as Emmitt is saying. Emmitt is saying a number one don't quit. Angel Eyes and the rest of y'all, let's hear the rest of this. Angel Eyes, I want you to comment on some of the stuff you said today.
A number one goes through and don't pout when he doesn't get the ball. A number one understand that defenses could be doubling up on one and you don't get not a throw. A number one says, okay, I'm going to draw double coverage. You better tear that one-on-one up by yourself.
Yes, sir.
A number one says, hey, how can we run the ball? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're trying to throw the ball against double coverage over here, and I got guys all over me. And,
yes, sir.
And I got to defend. I'm playing the defensive back. You didn't hire me to play DB. So a number one was says, run the daggone ball when there's 6 in the box or 7 in the box.
What did Michael tell you?
Now, y'all catch what Emmitt is doing. George Pickens was absolutely dominant. Predominantly most of the games he played. So what Emmitt is doing what some of the other people did. They're holding the Detroit Lions game against George Pickens. Even though I said in that game, I'm blaming that on Brian Schottenheimer. And even Brian Schottenheimer blamed that on Brian Schottenheimer. When CeeDee Lamb went out, they had George Pickens running multiple routes. But when CeeDee Lamb came back and George Pickens became so dominant at the slant route, well, Brian Schottenheimer relegated him to the slant route. He relegated him to 2 routes, the slant and the comeback. And ever so often the jump ball. So he basically relegated him to 3 routes. But where George was so dominant is when they started letting him run the CD routes. When he was running the multiple routes, George was dangerous. So in the Detroit game, we talked about this. Detroit, since Brian Schottenheimer wanted to be so arrogant and say, yeah, it's no secret, we're going to run the slant. Okay. Well, Campbell said, well, if you're going to run the slant, we're going to stop the slant. We're going to have the cornerback. He's going to play press coverage. He's going to jump every slant. And he's going to jump every comeback. And whoever is in the vicinity of CeeDee Lamb, they're going to cheat over the top of George Pickens. Whoever is in the vicinity, their assignment is to cheat over the top of GP. So if there is a knockdown, if there is an inaccurate throw, or if there is a tip ball, it's going to be a turnover. And that's what wound up happening to George Pickens. And where George Pickens was frustrated is that Brian Schottenheimer didn't move him around. When Brian figured out they were jumping those routes, when they were jumping the comebacks, they were jumping the slants, it was Schottenheimer's job to say, okay, GP, I see what they're doing. So let's put you in motion. Let's line you up on the trip side. Let's line you and CeeDee Lamb on the same side. Let's line you up in the slot. He did none of those things. He left GP out there to suffer. And that was Brian Schottenheimer's fault, and he said as much. Go back and look at the Seattle Seahawks tape. They don't have two receivers like the Cowboys. But one of the things you will typically see is you will see the majority of the time that people are not locking down in Jigba. They find ways to move in Jigba around and get him open. But they're blaming this on GP because GP couldn't do anything about the way they were calling the game. What could he do about it? What was he going to do? Go tell Brian, hey, Brian, they're jumping the slants. They're jumping the comebacks. Can you do some motion? Can you do something else? That's Brian Schottenheimer's job. And people were saying that GP was pouting. I don't think GP was pouting as much as he was frustrated. Now, let's think about this. All the things that Emmett said about CD. Anybody remember? Said about GP, George Pickens. Some of those same things were being said about CeeDee Lamb. Angel Eyes rebutted me today on this, and I have no problem with it. I want to hear what she has to say. But anybody remember what Troy Aikman said about CeeDee Lamb in 2024? Aikman said, Lamb running bad routes, not finishing routes, not fighting through routes. And we saw before GP got here, we would clearly see that if Dak threw a ball where CeeDee Lamb didn't want it, what would CeeDee Lamb do? CeeDee Lamb wouldn't fight to knock the pass down. He wouldn't fight to get the PI against the defensive back. CeeDee Lamb would run right past some of those things and allow them to let the ball be intercepted. That's not talking bad about CD. All I'm saying is what Emmitt Smith is saying. You could make that claim against every wide receiver in the game today at some point in a game. You could. Wide receivers, this is who they are. They are divas. All of them, no exception. There is no exception to this rule. They are divas. When they are not getting the ball, they get frustrated. When you put under and over coverage on them, and they can't seem to get in the game, they get frustrated. And sometimes it's not them quitting on routes. It's just that the opposing team has done such a good job of scouting them, they're beating them to the routes. And then that gets frustrated. And then what these wide receivers will do from time to time in games, and maybe they'll have one game or two games where this happens, they start wearing their feelings on their shoulders. Why? Wide receivers are divas by nature. If you have a wide receiver that doesn't want the football, if you have a wide receiver is not frustrated when he doesn't get the football, when he's getting taken out of the game, when they have a game plan against him, if you have a wide receiver that's not getting frustrated at that, I don't think you have the right wide receiver. I'm not saying he should be throwing fits on the sideline. How many fits have we seen CeeDee Lamb throw on the sideline over the last 2 to 3 seasons? It happens. Now, CeeDee Lamb ain't out there doing Antonio Brown stuff like throwing the Gatorade bottle up and down the sideline. He ain't doing that stuff. We see this all the time with receivers. I even think Njigba. I think Njigba got frustrated in the Super Bowl because the Patriots had a plan for him. So what Emmett is saying about GP, he's taking the snapshot of a couple of games, and even the following game, people were saying, yeah, man, GP, he tripping against Detroit. Man, go back and check them numbers on GP against Detroit. Stop it. Stop it. These teams had a game plan. They said they were willing to shut down GP and allow CD to eat. Why? Because GP is more of a deep threat than CD is, while CD is more of an intermediate route wide receiver than GP is. CD, if you pay attention, CD is more yards after the catch. So they were basically saying we're willing to live and die with that because maybe we can stop CD if we double GP. Kansas City implemented this. Philly implemented this. Detroit implemented this. Minnesota implemented this game plan. We saw where teams were willing to do that, and we're going to see it again this year. But what Emmett is saying about GP, you could say this about any wide receiver in the league. And that's why I say I'm not even knocking what I'm saying about CD. I'm not even knocking CD. I'm just telling you, this happens to wide receivers sometimes. And they all get frustrated. They all get frustrated from time to time. The best of the best, and especially when you're paying them money. You don't think they can, man, you ain't paying no wide receiver $35 million and think he gonna be content without getting the money? Shoo, he won't, hey, you think he just content with getting the money? Man, he want the money and the ball. That's what a number one wide receiver wants. So I'm not buying all of this stuff about GP, but understand this. Understand what I'm telling you. Pay attention. Emmett is playing the game well. Just like I'm on to Max Crosby, I'm on to Emmett. Emmett is playing the game well. Emmett is trying to negotiate in the court of public opinion the same argument I made earlier. There are those who will argue that GP is not better than Jamar Chase. He's not better than Justin Jefferson. He's not better than Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's not better than CD Lamb. And the argument that they can make, even as it applies to CD Lamb, why would Emmett be saying that GP is not the number one? He's using the same logic, I believe, that our man Pooby D uses. Pooby D, and I believe Angel Eyes is in the same category. I believe Dominique Pittman may be in the same category. Some of y'all may be in the same category. And I'm not mad at you because I think what your argument is makes sense. Because I believe what Emmett is saying is that CD has done it longer. He's done it longer, more consistently. We know right now what CD is. Emmett is arguing we've only seen GP have this kind of season with the Dallas Cowboys. So the reality is with GP, even though he's been a number one with the Pittsburgh Steelers, we've never seen him be this good. And Emmett is saying that even though GP had a great season, follow this, GP can be even better, but he still got some more work to go. And for that reason, he doesn't deserve to be paid as the number one wide receiver. Follow his argument. Angel Eyes, Dominique, anybody else, tell me if that's not what you're thinking. Because I think that's what he's saying. I believe that's what he's saying. We've only seen GP do this 1 year. He played better than CD, but is GP better than CD? Is he better than CD? That's what Emmett is saying. And because he's saying this, I think there's some method also to his madness. Because I don't want CD Lamb to break the bank. I don't want George Pickens to break the bank. I see what you're doing, Emmett. I see what you're doing. He don't want him to break the bank. Hallelujah. He said, you making too much sense now, G. I'm telling you, I'm hearing what Emmett is doing. I understand it. He's saying that CD has done it more consistently. This could just be a 1 year thing for GP. Cowboys got to consider that. I don't think it's a 1 year thing, but at the same time, I don't know it's a 1 year thing. I know this. I'm not letting GP go And Emmitt Smith is saying the same thing. Angel Eyes, she said, gee, he can be frustrated all he wants. You still have to run the route. In the Lions game, he quit. I don't think he did quit, but I can see, I don't think he quit. I think the Lions had a good game plan. And because they had a good game plan, I think GP was more frustrated that Brian Schottenheimer relegated him to slants and comebacks. After he saw what happened in the Detroit game, he came back and did it again. But again, if you go back and look at the tape on that game, Angel Eyes, no, GP was actually fighting out there. But I will say there were a couple of plays. Angel Eyes. We ain't going to lie now. We're going to stay in the church. We're going to tell the truth, stay in the church. Angel Eyes, that deep ball that Dak Prescott threw him, and GP looked at that ball fall at his feet. Okay. I can agree with you on that, but that happens. I can name you plays that CD did the same way. I can name you times that CD did the same thing. It's not a knock on wide receivers get frustrated when a team has a great game plan for them and their offensive coordinator doesn't figure out a way to still scheme them open, because that is the OC's job. It's not like GP was over there throwing the Gatorade cooler. GP was throwing the Gatorade cooler. And again, we've seen GP do the same thing. We've seen other receivers do the same thing. You can say this about other receivers too. And I'm not going to blame GP for that no more than I'm going to say trade CeeDee Lamb, because he's had a couple of issues where he's pouted on the sideline and throw. Man, CeeDee Lamb threw a temper tantrum this year in the Philadelphia game because he out there dropping passes and talking about Dak Prescott didn't throw it in the right spot. I'm not tripping on that. It's not a thing of he ain't a number one and trade him and all those things. But I understand what he's saying. I think where Emmitt Smith is, now Emmitt is saying he don't want George to break the bank. I think that's where he is. JCT Slice said, gee, no, the DC, and to a lesser extent, Shotty has things to prove. Pickens is fine. Dak is more than fine. We still got 4. Yeah. Jeremy Betts said, he said, that ticked me off. All he had to do was give him the logo or slant. Yeah, the sluggo. Give him the logo or the sluggo, or put Turpin in the slot next to GP and run him on the go route and make the decision that was that was an easy adjustment. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think GP was frustrated. I think he was frustrated with Brian Schottenheimer, because Brian Schottenheimer came back after that game and he said it was his fault. It was. It was his fault. Straight up. Dominique Pittman, he said, respectfully, G, you don't go in on Pickens when he runs half speed on routes and he pouts, but you're quick to grill Lamb for anything. Dominique, I made this point last year. What's his name? Smith. Smith made the same point about George Pickens. Anybody who said that George Pickens was half running his routes, they have not watched George Pickens for the last 4 years. George Pickens has been running his routes like that. Go look at the tape on George Pickens. He never looks like he's running full speed. He doesn't run routes full speed. George Pickens, he kind of glides his routes. He kind of glides them. He kind of sidesteps them. And I think one of the things that George does, he tries to bait the cornerback into making a move so he can do that sluggo, or so he can, he'll fake it like he's gonna run the comeback or run the go, and then he'll slant in, but he kind of glides in and he kind of turns his body. GP, he doesn't run routes full speed. This is a proven fact on George Pickens. Go look at the tape. GP has never ran routes the way anybody else runs them. He's never ran routes like that. He hasn't. Lamb don't run routes like GP. Lamb runs crispy routes because of his time of working with Amari Cooper. GP got his own thing. Go look at the tape. GP don't run routes full speed. Even when GP runs go routes, he's gliding. He's not getting after it. He's gliding. But then when the ball gets in the air, he high points it. And if he makes his move, he can outrun you. This has been GP. We're talking about, I want to think about what we're talking about too with GP. Man, we're talking about one game. But I understand what Emmett is doing. I think Emmett don't want the bank broke on George. I get it. Hallelujah says Shotty became too predictable. I agree. A lot of us don't remember, but I remember. Shotty took responsibility for this. It was his fault. He recognized what they were doing. He had no counter. Even he said he should have changed the way he was doing things. He should have put he should have put GP in motion. He should have moved him around. This is why I still say the Cowboys need a play caller. We'll see what he does this year, but I think he needs a play caller. Hallelujah says Shotty is too predictable. Something was unstoppable when it wasn't. Hopefully he learns from his mistakes. You got to be ever adjusting and always be creative. It's why LA is poking always around. And man, I'm telling you, go back and look at Seattle. Man, they got a play caller, man. And everybody can't make those play calls. Everybody can't coach and make play calls like some of these other coaches can. They can't. They can't all do it. Angel says, I get it, G, but Pickens doesn't get a pass. If you're going to come from CD's past, you got to grab GP's pass too, and there is where we have the issue. Now, I also agree with this. I don't agree with it, but I agree with it. I think you got to do it if you're talking about paying George Pickens. But I don't think you do that going forward because you have to also give it this part. Dak Prescott is what helped GP to be GP. And Dak Prescott is going to continue to help GP be GP. GP not going to fall off in Dallas because of Dak Prescott. That's why he's not going to fall off. And me, I'll just be honest with you. I'm not going to use GP's past against him. I'm just not going to do it. Because if I'm going to use GP past, then let me use the context. CeeDee Lamb has always been with Dak Prescott. George Pickens has not always been with Dak Prescott. When I look at the quarterback that CeeDee Lamb has had, he's had 4 his entire career. When I look at GP, let me count the quarterbacks. This dude GP played with Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, not in his prime. I'm going to give GP a pass. Yes, I am. I'm giving GP a pass, Angel Eyes, because I'm looking at the context of the situation. I'm giving him a pass. I've watched CeeDee Lamb be with Dak Prescott his entire career. And there's been some times I had some problems with CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens, he hasn't had a good quarterback. Dak Prescott is the best quarterback he's ever played with. He's the best quarterback he's ever played with. Yeah, he's getting a pass. Yes, he is. But I understand what Emmett is doing. Emmett doesn't want him to break the bank. Emmett is saying, follow his line of thinking. I don't want George Pickens to get paid as the number one. That's what Emmett is saying. Follow his madness. He don't want GP to be paid as the number one. So it makes sense that Emmett is making the argument that GP, and notice his language. You got to catch what Emmitt Smith is doing. He didn't say that George Pickens was not a number one. He said George Pickens is not the number one. Catch what he's doing. What do you mean the number one? He's not the number one on Dallas. And that's been Poobie D's argument. That's what Emmett is saying. Emmett isn't saying he's not a number one. He's saying he's not the number one in Dallas because Emmett is saying that is CeeDee Lamb. Now, understand the method of that madness. And if he is not the number one in Dallas, Emmett is saying to Jerry Jones and to the world, and if he's not the number one, he don't deserve to be paid more than the number one. I see what Emmett is doing. I see it. Israel Flores, he said, yeah. He said, those who said GP quit on the Lions don't know ball. He said, there's a method to the madness of the timing, the routes. Yeah. And again, and I'm not going to say they don't know ball so much, Israel. I just think that people need to kind of go back and look at the tape on that again and understand what transpired. Brian Schottenheimer took full responsibility for that because Brian said it was all his fault. Brian said when he recognized the coverage they were doing, he said, I should have made changes. He's right. I said it after the game. He should have made the changes, and he didn't. But again, understand, I get what Emmett is doing. He's not saying that George is not a number one. He's saying he's not the number one in Dallas. And so by saying he's not the number one in Dallas, all Emmett is saying is don't pay him like he's the number one receiver in Dallas. Because, why? Emmett wants both of them. I see what Emmett is doing. Emmett is talking from a position of loving the Dallas Cowboys. And he doesn't want GP to break the bank. Junior, what's up, Junior? He said the issue isn't GP or the Cowboys, it's Mulugeta not giving a blank check, which is what Mulugeta is going to ask for. Yeah, we're going to see. And again, Junior, let's play the game. Junior, let's play the game. Emmett is playing the game. Emmett is not only saying to Jerry, Emmett is saying to Mulugeta too. See, everybody got to realize, everybody is in on the game, whether we realize it or not. Everybody is in on the George Pickens game. We got people in on the game. They don't want George Pickens to get a long-term deal. They're in on the game. We got people in on the game. Some people don't even want the Cowboys to sign George Pickens, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think they want the Cowboys to be successful. And I'm including people who cover the Cowboys because they believe it's more money in the Cowboys being failures than it is in the Cowboys being successful. And some of the people who cover the Cowboys, I got news for y'all. They can't stand the Cowboys. The Cowboys is nothing but a mere cash cow for them. They don't want the Cowboys to be successful. And then you got other people. They want the Cowboys to break the bank on George Pickens because they don't believe that it's going to be successful if the Cowboys break the bank on George Pickens. Understand this. There are a lot of people in on this game of George Pickens. But for me, it's simple. I'm not saying nothing about George Pickens. I'm not saying anything bad about George Pickens. George Pickens this season was better than C.D. Lamb. That don't mean he's better than C.D. Lamb. He was better than C.D. Lamb this season. C.D. Lamb had a drop problem against the Philadelphia Eagles. For any time you tell me that George Pickens had a bad game against Detroit, you're going to have to explain to me now the bad games that C.D. Lamb had against the Philadelphia Eagles. It happens. Let's stop trying to, we don't need to tear GP down. We don't need to tear GP down. This is the worst part of this whole discussion for me. We don't have to tear GP down. We don't have to tear CD Lamb down. We can look at faults of both of these wide receivers. We can look at the greatness of these two wide receivers. But what I look at with these two wide receivers, all I'm going to leave it at is, I am so glad. I am so glad we got both of these receivers. I'm not playing the game. I'm not playing the game. I'm not playing the game. To have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens at the same time, it is incredible. I'm not arguing against GP getting paid. I'm not arguing against GP being a number one wide receiver. I'm not even worried if GP is the number one receiver for the Cowboys because I'm so glad that he's a number one for the Dallas Cowboys. And that was the one thing we couldn't say about Alvin Harper. Michael Irvin was the number one. Alvin Harper was the number two. With GP and CD, CD is a number one. George Pickens is a number one. And if CeeDee Lamb can stay healthy, because I got news for you, CeeDee Lamb has been injured the last 2 seasons. He's been injured the last 2 seasons. If we can get CeeDee Lamb to stay healthy and keep George Pickens healthy the entire season, I'm not worried about the number one. I'm glad we got 2 number ones. I don't understand it. And the thing that bothers me is it's like we have to try to tear George down so we can establish that CD is the number one receiver. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. Demetrius said, G, everyone is forgetting if Pittsburgh had a quarterback, we would not be having this conversation. So we might need to be grateful, if anything. Exactly. I'm giving GP a pass for Pittsburgh. Man, GP ain't had no doggone quarterback. GP ain't had no quarterback. Bottom line. GP ain't had no quarterback. Like GP said, Dak Prescott the best thing ever happened to him. Bass said, I don't know how to feel about Shotty being a play caller since you mentioned that Shotty said it was his fault. He said it. He said it. It was his fault. And I said it before he said it was his fault. I said it was Shotty's fault. When you see what a team is doing against your wide receivers, you don't just line your wide receivers up in front of a team that is so aggressive and they're being aggressive, jumping routes. Well, hit them with the sluggo. You got to take advantage of an aggressive defense. If they want to jump routes, okay, we're going to put Turpin out there. We'll put Turpin out there on a stop and go. We'll run GP on a sluggo. We're going to rip you to pieces if you're going to play these wide receivers as aggressive as that. And I'm telling you, I love the fact that we got CD and GP. And I think this argument sometimes goes too far. This argument goes too far. Dominique Pittman, come on, man. I'm not giving you the whole, man, I'm not giving you Cooper Rush. George Pickens still put up numbers with the quarterbacks that he had. Let's stop acting like GP didn't put up numbers. GP just didn't put up the numbers that he put up with Dak Prescott. And let's stop acting like Cooper Rush played for the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb played with Cooper Rush 3 straight seasons. Stop it. Come on, man. We don't have to be that disingenuous. Hot wax. Pickens practically carried the offense when CeeDee Lamb was out. Facts. Ryan R. Exactly. You're going to have bad games. Every receiver does. Facts. Facts. Man, I'm telling you, Dominique and everybody else, Lamb's been injured. He's been injured a couple of seasons in a row. Man, we ought to be thankful we got GP. Dominique, I hadn't tore down CeeDee Lamb not one time. All I'm giving you is the facts on CeeDee Lamb. I'm giving you the facts on any wide receiver in this league. What they're saying about George Pickens, we can say that about any wide receiver. Any wide receiver in the game today. This argument with George Pickens, people try to tear him down because they don't want him to be the number one receiver. I'm not concerned about him being the number one receiver. I'm just glad he's a number one receiver. That's what I'm glad for. I'm glad he's a number one receiver. But understand, guys, understand what Emmett is doing. It makes sense. Emmett is saying, no, he's not the number one, so don't pay him like he's the number one. Pay him like he's a number one, but don't pay him like he's the number one. I get what Emmett is doing.
Cover 2. What did he tell you?
Amen.
But Michael says, throw it to me anyway, I'm going to go get it. And Michael went and got it.
Hey,
But Mike went and got it.
Right. And
So,
cover 2, you got to run him up out of it.
but Mike ran and got it, though.
Yeah.
Mike was never afraid of going in there against 2 guys or 3 guys.
Yeah.
Mike tell you right now, you throw that slant, my folks back in Miami going to eat.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to catch that slant. I may get knocked out,
Right.
but I'm going to catch that slant. I'm going to be on the ground like this. catch. And they're going to be moving the chains. And so that's the mentality that George needs to develop. You said a key word. He has to get in that system that affords him the opportunity to showcase he's the number one. Harper thought he was the number one until he went to Tampa.
This is why I disagree with Emmett. No, GP is better than Alvin Harper. No, George Pickens is better than Alvin Harper. I saw Alvin Harper play. He not GP. Nah, GP better. And I'm not saying that as in Alvin Harper was bad, because he was great. GP better. GP better. The game is more versatile. GP is better. I'd take GP over Alvin Harper in a heartbeat. He's better than Alvin. And I'm telling you right now, GP was a number one in Pittsburgh with terrible quarterback play. Still a number one. GP goes somewhere else, he will be a number one. I'm not telling you he's going to put up them Dak Prescott numbers, but I am telling you he is still going to be an incredible threat for whatever team he goes to. But man, CD ain't going, man, George Pickens ain't going nowhere. George Pickens ain't going nowhere. And even Emmitt Smith in his conversation, he's saying sign GP. He's just saying don't sign GP as if he's the number one. He's basically saying don't pay him $40 million.
A system also give you the ability to shine at your best. The right system. The wrong system will hold you back.
But this is the funny thing about it is George Pickens has the skill set. Me knowing receivers is he has the skill set to go anywhere and be able to show what he can do.
I doubt that.
Whoa. Stop it, Emmett. This is where I start falling off the boat with Emmett. I'm not agreeing with this. Put George Pickens on the Kansas City Chiefs. You will be literally watching Tyreek Hill 2.0. I'm not buying that. I am not buying. I've seen George with lesser quarterbacks, and I've seen him with our top 5 quarterback. I'm not buying that George Pickens wouldn't ball out with another team. Now, that right there is naivety. And maybe he's playing the game. But GP is better than Alvin Harper. GP goes to another team, GP is going to eat. I'm not telling you he's going to amass the yards he got with Dak, but I'll tell you this, he may actually surpass those yards. Because I'm telling you, you put him with the Kansas City Chiefs, because I guarantee you they would be one of the teams that would go after him. I guarantee you. You put him on the Buffalo Bills. I got a feeling they would be a team that would go after him. You put him with Josh Allen. You put him with Lamar Jackson. You put him with a Joe Burrow. Man, you put him with a Sam Darnold with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm not buying that he wouldn't be great without being with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Emmett is being a little disingenuous, talking about he doubted. I'm not doubting GP. GP's got a lot of ability.
I'm telling you, because we saw him do it in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
In his first week, and they didn't even have a quarterback either.
Yes.
You put George's system in Oakland.
You put George Pickens in Oakland?
Put him in Oakland.
With Mendoza coming?
No.
Vegas.
No. You put him in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, right now?
Right now.
Get in the ball. Put it in his hands.
Nope.
Put him in position to make the play.
We can't say right now. Geno Smith was terrible this year, man.
Have somebody that can get him the ball.
Have somebody get him the ball. So all I'm saying is the way where he flourishes at is when he got somebody that can get him the ball and there's a concerted effort. Whether you double him or double CD, one of them going to be one-on-one. And I better destroy somebody that's one-on-one. If I'm not destroying somebody one-on-one, that means the tight end is free too. He's one-on-one.
Right.
And so I'm going to run him out of that, and they're going to have to go back to cover 2.
Yep.
And I'm going to get mine.
Right. But see, nobody's
That's the
understanding though.
unselfish part about football. I knew if it was 8 in the box, I'm like, dang, I can't get 100. But I tell you what, that 8th man gonna get it.
Yes.
He gonna feel it. Fourth quarter, he ain't gonna want to stick his head in there.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen. And I knew going into certain games, whether it was against Philly when Buddy Ryan had that 8-man, that bear defense.
Their defense.
I'm like, man, I'd be lucky to get 55 yards today. And so, but I knew that. But
But Mike gonna eat.
I'm looking at Herb. You better eat.
Yeah.
You better eat, because when it's my time to eat, I'm gonna eat.
Yes, sir.
So that's the yin and the yang of
Yeah.
the game. Because the system and the defense also dictates what's happening. Because they can bracket you without even covering you.
Yeah.
And close down the throwing lanes and the throwing gaps. And guess who has to pull the trigger? The quarterback. And if he's not comfortable with those small windows, he ain't throwing it your way.
Yeah.
Ain't got nothing to do with the system.
We had a conversation yesterday. Ocho and I was having a conversation.
Hopefully that answers your question.
No, Emmett, I'm not buying what you're saying.
It's a little selfish on your part a little bit.
No.
It's a little selfish on the Cowboys fans' part as well,
No,
because
no.
I'm looking at something else.
Chat.
No, you're looking at the right thing.
Chat,
Okay.
remember we had the conversation yesterday.
Now, I agree with Ocho on this. I do believe that Emmett is talking from a position that he doesn't want the Cowboys to overpay George Pickens. I get it. I don't have no problem with it. I understand what he's doing. It's easy to call out. He doesn't want them to overpay GP. I get it. I get it. He doesn't want them to have to pay GP as the number one receiver. Ruby Sweet, what's going on, Ruby? Ruby said yes, like those DLLS guys. Yeah. Boy, AOC been handling up on them. That's all I'm going to say about that. Poor AOC been handling up. Big Robowski said DLS is Clarence Hill. Will do whatever he can do to get GP over to Green Bay with Micah. Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? I 100% agree with you. He's one of these people to me. He doesn't have his best. He doesn't have the Cowboys' best interest in mind. Larry Golden said, "Gee, how many times did I say in previous chats that Schottenheimer is too predictable and his process doesn't work? I've said it 100 times." Yeah. Yeah. I hope Shotty gets better at calling plays this year. Ron Hanna, what up, Ron? My man. Israel Flores, being a number one is overrated. I don't get some Cowboy fans. Just be glad you got two ballers. That's where I am, Israel. I'm glad we got two number ones. We got two number ones. Man, I got to pinch myself sometimes to think about the fact we got two number ones. We got two number ones. And we got a blossoming Ryan Flanoy. Man, I'm telling you, Ryan Flanoy is going to benefit also. He is going to blossom into a number 2 wide receiver. And he's going to be able to hold the fort down at some point in this season. Man, the Cowboys got a great thing going. They got a great thing going. All I need is both of them to be on this team. And neither one of them are concerned about being the number one. I think they're glad about being a number one. Big Rombowski said if Liam wants to stay healthy, then he needs to steer clear on the sidelines in preseason games. For referees turning his back into a reverse CO upon impact. Yeah. Bass said Emmett ain't told a lie. Lamb done concussed himself trying to catch those drop passes. Man puts his body on the line. Oh, I agree with that, but sometimes he hasn't either. He said, I was shook about that injury. Yeah. Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. Angel Eyes, no hate. You said you brought the argument, I answered. I ain't mad at your answer. You already know my stance on both, and I've said numerous both times in several chats on your vid comments earlier. Both the wide receivers won. I ain't mad at your answer. Believe me when I tell you, I am not mad at your answer. I am so glad. Ron, let me tell you what Emmett is doing. Emmett he's trying to justify not paying George Pickens. Emmett sees where GP is in for a big payday. And so he's arguing that he is not the number. I see what he's doing. It makes sense what he's doing. He doesn't want GP to be paid like the number one. That's all he's doing. He doesn't want GP to be paid like the number one because he knows that means he's got to get paid more than CeeDee Lamb. But we don't have to worry about this because CD Lamb has given the okay for GP to be paid more than him because CD isn't dumb. Because if GP gets paid more than him, he's probably going to get another raise and be paid more than GP. Man, Lamb ain't dumb either. Pittman says, G, you really tried to gloss over what Lamb did with terrible quarterback play? Nah, I'm not glossing over it. But I'm not going to pretend, Dominique, like he played with Cooper Rush. Like, man, let me show you. I am not going to pretend in any situation. Do we not understand what this man GP had to endure? He had to endure playing on the Pittsburgh Steelers, a defense-oriented football. That offense wasn't even a second thought. This is what George Pickens had to do. George Pickens with hardly no help with another wide receiver, no help from the OC perspective, no help from the quarterback perspective. This is George Pickens. George Pickens, look at the average reception. That's the part I want you to focus on. GP Ben had talent, man. Let's put some respect on this man's name and stop playing. GP would have been GP, I believe, had he had a better quarterback. In his rookie season, he only had 52 receptions, 801 yards. This man is hitting 15.4 yards a clip. Stop it. Stop it. GP ain't been no slouch. GP been a number one. 2023. This man only had 63 receptions, 1,140 yards. This man hit 18.1 yards per clip. Stop it. Stop it, man. Let's stop pretending. We don't have to tear down GP. Cooper Rush ain't no comparison. There were people out there saying Cooper Rush was better than Dak Prescott. I'm not even hearing the Cooper Rush stuff. This man GP has been playing with substandard quarterback play. 59 yards, 59 receptions in 2024, 900 yards. This man hitting 15.3 yards a clip? Stop it. GP been him. GP been eating up real estate. GP been him. This man was doing major damage with mediocre quarterback play. He been him. And we all know our quarterback is him. Top 3 quarterback in the league. Of course he was going to come to Dallas. And Dak Prescott was going to double his production. And I'm going to tell you right now, had Brian Schottenheimer been a better play caller, GP would have eclipsed 1,700 yards and would have eclipsed 9 touchdowns. Man, GP been him. That ain't got nothing to do with CeeDee Lamb. GP been him. He been a number 1 receiver. And I, for one, am so glad we got him. I'm glad we got him. CeeDee Lamb and GP are 2 different receivers. CeeDee Lamb, more of a yards after the catch, more of a between the hash, more of a route runner, more of a finesse wide receiver. George Pickens, tall, slender frame, but really a big body receiver, uses his body against players, can high point footballs, eats up boundaries. He can do a lot of things. They are 2 totally different receivers, but they're both number 1s. And to get that combination on your team, it's incredible. What? Man, I can't even understand an argument. I can't even understand an argument in this situation. We should be arguing for these 2 wide receivers. There shouldn't be any. We don't have to tear down GP in any stretch of the imagination. We don't have to tear down CD Can there be some truths admitted about these two receivers? Could there be some truths admitted? Did they some games that they probably wish they could have back? They both had games. CeeDee Lamb had games he wished he could get back. It's not how the game goes. I don't care how great you are, you're going to have bad games. But I'm telling you right now, stop playing. Go back and look at GP. Shoot, GP been him. GP been him. He been him. Bottom line, he been him. Tatiana said GP said he can eat on any team. I think he can too. If you could eat with the quarterbacks he played with for 3 years and still be getting 15, that is the one number you got to look at. GP has continued to get 15 plus yards per clip. That's incredible. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. They're not letting that go. I'm not even buying it. Dro Man Joe, what up? I'm not buying it. Cowboys said they're willing to trade Pickens for a second round pick. Dro Man Joe, no, they're not. Don't even believe that. A second round pick is not enough compensation for George Pickens. I'm telling us now. Anybody who thinks a second round pick is enough for George Pickens, man, there ain't a second round wide receiver in the draft that will be what GP is even in 3 years. And we're talking about really a 2-year window. Y'all do know this, right? We're really talking about a 2-year window. We're talking about 26 and 27. We're talking about a 3-year window here. Ain't no doggone second round pick enough. It's not enough. Angel Eyes, this is the point right here. They both, and that's been my point. We can look at both, and not just both of them, Angel Eyes. We can look at every receiver in the game today, and we can point out where they had weak games. I'm telling you, in the Super Bowl, Jackson Smith and Jigba, weak game. Weak game. Talking about he hurt his foot, whatever case. No, it was before the end too. Jackson Smith and Jigba, weak game. R.T. Holman, appreciate that super sticker. You can do this to any wide receiver. You can actually do this to any wide receiver. But I do understand what they're doing. I understand what Emmett is doing now. Emmett doesn't want GP to get paid like the number one. Follow what he said. He's not the number one. That's his point. Now that I'm listening, he's not the number one. He don't want him to get paid. Not that number one money. Meanwhile, Ocho is talking from the perspective of, I don't care about the Cowboys. That's where Ocho Cinco is talking from. I don't care about the Cowboys. Ocho Cinco is saying, I'm talking from the perspective of a wide receiver. And I think the man should be paid. That's what he's saying. I get what he's saying. I understand. And that's why Ocho Cinco just called him out. Because Ocho just said it point blank. He said, man, you talking from the perspective of you got interest in this because you don't want him to get paid. It's not that Emmett don't want him to get paid. Emmett don't want him to get paid that number one money. I see what you're doing, Emmett. I'm not mad at you. I see what you're doing. Big Rumbowski said when GP resigns, it will all go for naught if Dak doesn't stay healthy. This O-line needs some retooling. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt about it. Angela said, I'm hell when it comes to CD now. Yeah, it's all good. I'm glad you like that for CD. Because CD is an integral part of this team. He is an integral part of this team, and you got to have CD. This all has to work together. It all has to work together. And I'm telling you, I have to pinch myself sometimes. I can't believe we have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's incredible. Jeremy Betts said, yeah, he was still productive, number one in Pittsburgh with no quarterback, bro, for real. I was watching him on Red Zone. I said to myself, this dude is a problem with horrible quarterback play. Man, Jeremy Betts, I'm telling you, the one thing that's been consistent about him is that 15-plus yards per clip. This man is serious with it. This man is serious with it. He is. He's serious with it. And I am so glad we got GP. I'm so glad we got him. And CeeDee Lamb is glad we got GP. 72 Chevelle. Hey, it's good to see you in the congregation. 72 Chevelle. A second-round pick is not compensation for George Pickens. You just set your franchise back 2 seasons. There ain't a second-round pick in this draft or the next that will get you what GP is. No. Poobie D, I'm with you. Give him top 4 money. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I say still, see if you can squeeze him between 33 and 37. And if I'm the Cowboys, do it before the Seahawks. The Cowboys do this every season, and they can't do it this season. They cannot afford, Cowboys fans, they cannot afford to allow the Seattle Seahawks to sign in Jigba first. Can't do it. All right. Let's move on. I got a new clip for y'all. I found this today. Right before I was getting ready to come on. I don't know if y'all have seen this.
Which Pickens?
Man, Torrey Holt issues a warning to the Dallas Cowboys. Torrey Holt issues a warning to the Dallas Cowboys about George Pickens. All right, let me pull it up here real quick. Torrey Holt issues a warning to the Dallas Cowboys. And I do believe the Cowboys have got to heed this warning. Have y'all seen this clip? Found it today. Torrey Holt on Up and Adams. Check this out.
George Pickens. And I like George. George is unbelievably talented, right? A freak of nature. Unbelievably talented. The only thing that I want George to get better at is his situational football.
What do you mean?
Lock in all the time. Know the situation. Be aware of what's going on. Grow up, in a sense, is basically what I'm saying. I would like to see George grow up more, take accountability of his actions, become a pro, down after down after down.
Now understand this. All of this that they're saying is based on one game, the Detroit game. And let me add in Angel Eyes. Some of this may even be based upon his past. And they're carrying over the past and saying we saw a glimpse of his past in the Detroit game. And so the Detroit game, they're almost saying is a microcosm of what he's been before Dallas. And so they're saying that he needs to take another step. Emmett was saying similar things about GP, but Torrey, I think, is talking better per se, because Torrey is saying he needs to do it play after play. But he's also, unlike Emmett, he's acknowledging that he is an alien talent.
Year after year after year. He has the physical ability. He's got somebody in Dak that can get it to him. I just want to see George, whether he's in Dallas or somewhere else, I just want to see him grow up and really take that next step as one of the dominant receivers in the National Football League.
You know this business. They're likely to franchise him, and then that's just when it starts, the story of how to make this extension for him happen. What would what do you expect to happen there? Is he a Cowboy?
I think they should make him a Cowboy. Opposite of CeeDee Lamb, you got two-head monster on the outside. Who are you going to take away? You're going to take away CeeDee? Pickens is going to eat. You take away Pickens, CeeDee is going to eat. So I think that the Cowboys should do the right thing. And George should also do the right thing by growing up, showing a level of maturity, staying there and becoming a really good dominant wide receiver in our league.
Yeah. Torrey Holt is telling the Cowboys, you got to keep him. You got to keep him. Hawk, I agree with you. He could have said the same thing about CD. Hawk, we have seen some of the same issues with CD. People got a very short memory. Troy Aikman destroyed CD Lamb in 2024. Destroyed him. It was 2024, and Troy Aikman was saying some of the same things about CD Lamb. Destroyed him. And CD Lamb got paid that year. In a year he got paid, Troy Aikman was destroying him. And you could almost say this about any wide receiver at one point or another. At one point or another. Hallelujah said Torrey Holt was savage. Yes, he was. Man, yes. Absolute savage. But again, this George Pickens conversation, I got news for y'all. It ain't going away. Even after the Cowboys extend George Pickens, it isn't going away. Because once George Pickens gets the money, people hate on the Cowboys so bad. You know what they're going to be saying next? They're going to have him under a microscope. They will have him under a microscope. And they are going to be looking at everything he does. And they're going to say, he got paid, now look at him. I don't care if he has one bad quarter. They're going to look at GP and they're going to try to tear him down. Guarantee you. They are going to try to tear him down. So, it ain't over. George is going to need that one more. He's going to need that after he gets this extension. He's going to really have to. He's going to really have to lay down the law and show people how great he is. And that's why I said at the beginning, hey, George is going to still have a lot to prove. He is. George is still going to have a lot to prove. But I'm excited that he's going to prove it with the Dallas Cowboys. I believe that this is the beginning of the Super Bowl run for the Cowboys. And I believe they're going to make that run. And I got confidence in Jerry. I believe Jerry is going to shut a lot of people up. They're going to get this deal done with George. I believe it. I believe they get this deal done with George with no problem. They're going to get it done. Because I believe that they're in a situation to where they are danged if they do and danged if they don't. You do not want George Pickens going to the Washington Commanders. You don't want George Pickens going to the Giants. You don't want George Pickens going to the Eagles. Because the Eagles are going to trade A.J. Brown. You almost have to sign George Pickens to keep him away from your enemies. George Pickens, there will be teams that will be vying. They're going to be vying for his services. Ron Hanna said, now that's the best thing I heard on GP so far. Thanks, Torrey Holt. Also, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, brother. Yeah. Real estate vet, he said, I heard no lies there. He said, I believe CD will continue to mentor. Yeah. Oh, man, Big Rumbowski, Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce was a great duo. You are not lying. I was in college when that 99 Tennessee versus St. Louis Super Bowl came down to the final play. Yes, sir. Only 1 yard to the goal line. Great game. Yes, sir. Angel I said his talent was never a topic for me. It was the accountability for both with 22. Say it again. Both have issues. Let's address both, not one or the other. I'm saying he didn't quit. Yeah, I don't think he did either. I think they had a great game plan for him. Jeremy Betts said him, Isaac Bruce, and Ricky Prohl and Hakeem. Yeah, Marshall Faulk, greatest show on turf. Man, them boys were crazy with it, boy. Them boys were crazy with it. Yeah, I'm with you, Angel Eyes. GP is a crazy talent. We got to keep him. We got to keep him. There's no way we get rid of him. We got to keep him. Sub-Zero said, when talking heads start coming after GP after he gets extended, we as fans need to stand behind GP and let him know we want him here. Yeah, he's going to get extended. Like I said, between $33 and $37 million. And then it's not going to stop because they're going to be looking for reasons to say that he's not worth the money. So GP is going to have to continue, and I think he will, because not just because of CeeDee Lamb, but because Dak Prescott is his quarterback. And Dak Prescott is going to continue to make sure that George Pickens is going to be successful. All right, I want to get to another topic here. We're going to roll through these next few topics. I don't know if y'all saw what Sean Lee said.
Here we go.
Sean Lee had something to say about the Dallas Cowboys. And a lot of Dallas Cowboys are starting to share this sentiment. Sean Lee said the Cowboys are going to have a bounce back and have a huge year. Sorry, wrong buttons. I agree. It is time for the Cowboys. Yeah, Angel Eyes, I got you. Yeah, talking about GP. If I said CD, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, he stand up and corrected and returned to himself the rest of the season. I committed him for that. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. And I also attribute some of that Angel Eyes to Brian Schottenheimer made the necessary adjustments and got off of that dumb slant and comeback play that he had relegated him to for about 2 games. So Sean Lee, Dallas Cowboy, ex-Dallas Cowboy, and I'm telling you right now, Sean Lee could have been one of the best linebackers to ever play the game. Just couldn't stay healthy. I hate that for him. He was incredible. Sean Lee is saying the Cowboys are going to have a bounce-back season. Says every year Super Bowl radio row is full of familiar faces, both old and new. That's certainly the case for the Cowboys this year in San Francisco, who had plenty of current and former players walking around. It seemed like Emmitt Smith was the only one they could find, though, because I'm telling you, I got more on Emmitt Smith. He says he's player walking around and doing interviews and every single day. He said, one of those former linebackers, Sean Lee, who still keeps up with the team he spent 10 years with. He said, I love the Cowboys through and through, Lee said. Every single game, every single play, love the Cowboys, love the fans, and excited to watch them next year. They're going to bounce back and have a huge year. I believe so, too. Okay, Undertaker sound. Send me Chevelle. I'm going to try to get that. If the Cowboys are, in fact, to bounce back, they'll especially need to do so on the defensive side of the ball after giving up most points per game in the NFL last season at 30.1. Having played on that side of the ball, Lee believes that the Dallas Cowboys have some of the pieces necessary to improve, and now it's about putting them together. He says getting the coordinator in, getting the personnel healthy again. I think there were a lot of games where they had a lot of personnel in and out, a lot of people who weren't healthy, Lee said. Getting some continuity with a new coordinator, drafting some guys, bringing some guys in. I think this defense is going to bounce back quick because the talent is there. I believe so, too. He said there are guys who know how to play football, and you're going to have a lot of young guys moving in year 2, from year 1 to year 2. He said, I took a huge jump in understanding football and being able to play at a high level. I believe Donovan Ezeraku is going to be one of those players. He said one of the most important positions on defense is one that Lee played for Dallas linebacker. The Dallas have a need at the position heading into the offseason and have several avenues like free agency and the draft to make additions. In Lee's mind, what makes the perfect linebacker? From a standpoint of skill set, a guy who is instinctual. Kenneth Murray is not that. A guy who's quick, a guy who loves to hit, which I think is overshown. Lee said, and then ultimately from a leadership standpoint, a guy who always leads from the front, who's preparing constantly, who's trying to make his teammates better every day, who wants to compete every single day. Those are what make not only great linebackers, but great football players. I do believe the Cowboys may have to go get that player. I do believe they may have to go get that player. Overshown's got some of that, but he's not quite there yet. He hasn't had a fully healthy season yet. So the first thing with Overshown is we got to get him healthy for a whole season, because he can't be that if he can't be healthy, because your best ability is availability, and you can't lead from the sidelines. Amen, Walls. It says when it comes to players that Lee took the field with, the textbook example of the leader he described was Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. He said, when I think of a guy who competes every day, Dak Prescott, Lee said, there's nobody who's better, who competes more, pushes his teammates, and who loves football, who loves his teammates and loves the Cowboys. So that's a guy, if you can be like Dak, you're going to be doing all right. Man, these players love Dak Prescott, man. He said not only leadership is needed in the locker room, but it's needed in the coaching staff too. Although their interactions have been brief, Lee sees the right man for the Cowboys in head coach Brian Schottenheimer. He said, I love Brian, Lee said. I haven't talked to him a lot, but I think he's a great coach, historically a great motivator, a great play caller, and I think he's got them in the right direction. I agree with 2 of the 3. I got to wait and see on the second one as a great play caller. I want to see what he does this year. Says nowadays, Lee is taking his love for football in his own direction. He's currently the head of sports data for Adrenaline, a company that delivers real-time predictive analytics driven by advanced machine learning and AI models on football broadcasts. We're working with Monday Night Football to produce an alternate broadcast called Monday Night Football Playbook, where basically we're able to identify formations in real time with next-gen stats sensor data. It's going to be interesting. Lee explained, we take it to our historical database that we have, and we make predictions on running pass probabilities, on targeted receiver probabilities, on blitz probabilities, so all things that I would try to track as a linebacker. Now, the hope is that Lee and his group can track some positive probabilities for the Cowboys defensively in 2026. Yeah. Sean Lee believes the Cowboys are going to have a huge bounce back. I also believe the same thing. Let's look at another topic here I want to touch on real quick. We talked about this earlier, talking about the Cowboys' potential to be able to restructure deals. Let's look at some of the things that the Cowboys can do. I think I found a pretty good little graph on this. Let me see. All right, so looking at the Cowboys' restructure potential. Somebody posted this over on X. So let's see. SF Data Niners, San Francisco Data Niners. Okay, reposted by HTM Sports. Let's look at the Cowboys' restructure potential. The salary cap is not going to be a problem for the Cowboys, trust me. Now, see, understand what is happening. This is what I was explaining earlier. When you have done what the Philadelphia Eagles have done, what Howie Roseman has done, you have to understand the more you push money down the road, you lose the ability to restructure and get more money under the cap. At some point, when you keep pushing that money down the road, at some point, you got to let some of those contracts go and you got to retool and recalibrate. And I think this is where the Philadelphia Eagles may be finding themselves this year and next year. And so when you look at the restructure potential, the team that's at the bottom is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are at the bottom is because of the contracts they have done. Look at the team who's at the top. The Dallas Cowboys can create $131 million in cap space just by doing some restructures, of which I do believe they are going to do those restructures. And so this is the restructuring here that the Cowboys can do. The Cowboys can restructure Dak Prescott, $30.9 million. CeeDee Lamb restructure, $19 million. Quinnen Williams restructure, $15.5 million. Kenny Clark extension, $15.3 million. So that looks like extensions for Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. Also restructure, $12 million. Terrence Steele restructure, $8 million. Malik Hooker cut, $6.8 million. Logan Wilson cut, $6.5 million. Also, Trayvon Diggs, I believe, brings somewhere around $13 million, if that hasn't already been figured in. This also is not counting the Deron Bland restructure. If you wanted to do that, you could get more money. I'm sure you could restructure Ty Smith's contract. You could get more money there too. I'm sure you can also restructure Jake Ferguson's contract, and you could get more money there too. But the Cowboys can easily create all the money that they need to be able to get what they want as far as keeping and signing players. And I really do think, I'll just be honest with you, I think the Cowboys need to go to the max. The Cowboys, in my estimation, need to sell out this season. I believe they need to sell out this season. Just push all the chips in the table and go for it this year. 2027 is not promised. Push them all in the middle of the table right now. Extend Brandon Aubrey. Re-sign Jadeveon Clowney. Extend George Pickens. Go out there in free agency. Get you some players. Restructure whoever you need to restructure. Go out there in the draft. Trade back if you need to. Get a couple of extra picks and still remain in the first round with 2 first-round picks and go out there and get players. And I believe they're going to do it. My theme for 2026, it's going to be the year of the defense. And I believe Jerry Jones is going to be in the running for the GM of the year. I do. I think Jerry Jones is going to be in for the GM of the year. I'm telling you, man, are y'all looking at Jerry Jones? Man, Jerry Jones ain't getting no younger. I think Jerry realizes, man, he needs to get him one. If he wants one more, he got to get him one. And I think he needs to get it within the next 2 years. And I think he needs to do it this year. You push them chips to the table. All of them. Push all of them in. Angel Eyes, in Jesus' name, I'm praying for him, Angel Eyes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. So, again, Angel Eyes, everybody else, hey, the Cowboys, Jerry's got to do it now. Jerry's got to do it now, and I do believe Jerry's going to do it now. I got confidence in Jerry. I think he made a lot of great moves last year. I think he's going to make more moves this year. All right. Just another quick topic, a couple of quick topics here. Let's talk about more Dak hate. Man, let me tell you something. I don't think there is a bigger hater of the Dallas Cowboys than, man, is his name Chris Canty? This dude is the biggest Dallas Cowboy hater. I thought, man, I'm telling you, him and Stephen A. Smith, they are running a close race. Boy, they hate on the Cowboys in ways that has to be studied. They hate on the Cowboys. And the reason why I say they do, I have seen where both of them have put together the top quarterbacks in the NFC. And the thing that is crazy to me is how they keep leaving Dak Prescott off their list. Look at this insane take from Stephen A. Smith. Tell me this isn't crazy. Stephen A. Smith, top 3 quarterbacks in the NFC. Matthew Stafford. Jordan Love? What? Man, you need your TV license revoked, bro. This is pure hatred. There is no conversation where Jordan Love needs to be the top 2, as in the best anything at quarterback. Jordan Love literally got paid off of a half of a good season. Jordan Love has been inconsistent in 2024 and 2025. He's been inconsistent. In 2024, it was injury. In 2025, you want to know why they were not as good as they should have been? Man, they had some very poor quarterback play early on in the season. Their defense, Poobie D was on here challenging it. Poobie D was saying that their defense was having some great performances. I agree. Their offense, lackluster. Lackluster. Meanwhile, these people are on here hating on Dak Prescott.
If you're talking about talent,
Well, yeah, obviously.
all right, you're talking about talent, all right? And I mean, the resumes are now that he is a Super Bowl champion, I'd have him top 3 in the NFC.
Okay, so who else are you putting up
Top
there?
3.
Matthew
Well, he ain't
Stafford.
coming ahead of Matthew Stafford.
I don't agree that Sam Darnold is top 3 in the NFC. But what I will say is that he was on a top team. This is the part that people don't get about Dak Prescott. You can be the number 1 quarterback on a team with one of the worst defenses historically we ever seen. And so you can, if you're the best quarterback and your defense is giving up 30 points per game, your quarterback play is going to be overshadowed. How in the world do you have a top 3 offense and have the worst defense in the league? Man, you ain't winning. We got to stop saying this stuff because you went to the Super Bowl. Because you went to the Super Bowl don't make you a top 10 quarterback. That narrative got killed with Jalen Hurts. Man, Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback. Drake May, he made the Super Bowl. Drake May ain't no 10. Man, Drake May not even a top 20 quarterback right now. But when you give those 2 quarterbacks top 5 defenses, you give those 2 quarterbacks, you give one of these quarterbacks one of the easiest schedules we've ever seen in NFL history. Of course they make the Super Bowl. It is insanity and asinine to say that a quarterback, because he went to the Super Bowl, is top 3. Man, we saw some big time throws that Sam Darnold made. The best thing that Sam Darnold did was not make any turnovers. But Sam Darnold missed some big time throws. Sam Darnold didn't have no top 3 NFC quarterback performance. His defense did. His defense had a number 1 defense performance. What was it, 7 sacks? 2 or 3 turnovers? You're going to win a lot of games like that. And to just look at a game and not use context and then put this man as top 3 and leave Dak Prescott out. It is egregious. Sub-Zero, appreciate that super chat. He said ESPN is the greatest hater of them all. The things he criticizes the Cowboys for, he gives passes to everyone else. Go Cowboys. It's insanity. It's insanity. To put Sam Darnold ahead of Dak Prescott because he got a Super Bowl is insane. And I could even give you that. But now you got to give me the rationale for Jordan Love. What's the rationale on that? What has Jordan Love done? This is Stephen A. Smith's way of making sure that he doesn't include Dak Prescott because he knows that people are going to question. Why did he not include Dak Prescott? Let's see what you're doing, Stephen A. You gonna try to profit from Dallas? Even when you're not talking about Dallas. We see exactly what you're doing, Stephen A. It is an absolute joke what a lot of these people do. And I love what somebody said they called Chris Canty Chris Can't See. This man hates Dallas. You would have never known that Chris Canty played for the Cowboys. This man hates Dallas. Hallelujah. He said Love and Darnold is wild. Man. Boy, I'm telling you, this is crazy. It's absolute crazy. Ron Hanna said Sam Darnold led the NFL in turnovers. Stop it. Defense bailed him. When you got a defense like the Seattle Seahawks, shoot. Bass says Stephen A. Smith barber should be ashamed of himself. All that money, can't afford a proper haircut with his elongated head self. Hey, You would think with that money, man, he'd go overseas and get that if he wanted to keep his hair. Because I'm just like me, man. My hair don't grow right, so I just shave it off. I don't understand why men be in love with hair, man. If you're losing your hair, just cut it off. If not, go get you one of them hair grafts. That's all I'm saying. Jeremy said they said anybody but mama anybody and their mama could have quarterbacked the Seattle Seahawks team to the Super Bowl, but Dak Prescott, that was crazy. He said I can see the agenda they had right then. Love, Purdy, and Hurts. He said, what the hell? That's crazy. Yep. We know what they're doing. We know they're doing this on purpose. Shoo. Say it again, Ronan. The voice. Rex Grossman was in the Super Bowl. Horrible quarterback. Exactly. Freddie Morales, he said, G, my brother, you actually paying attention to what Stephen A. Smith is saying about Dak and the Cowboys? Really, G? No, I'm not. I just wanted to show the continuous hate that him and Chris Canty have for Dak Prescott. Both of them did the same thing. Ron Bowski said Rex Grossman would have won that Super Bowl if he had for his if he had for his number one wide receiver. I see you, Ron Bowski. I see you, Ron Bowski. Bear said Chris can't see me acting like he cook on them points too, G. Bro, don't you know it? Man, I be laughing at Chris can't see, as you called him. Man, I be laughing at this dude. Dominique said, man, if my hairline went all the way back to the top of my head, I'm shaving it all the way off. Me too. Me too, man. JCT Slice, he said, how is love over Dak? He's not. But that's Stephen A. Smith's way of trying to get attention. Ron Hanna said, omitting Dak from his list brings views, and Stephen A. hairline is a joke. Don't know anything about the quarterback position. Man, I'm telling you, it's true. Hawk, the only way to shut up Stephen A. is go and win. We'll see. Hawk, we gonna see. Because I still don't think it's gonna shut him up. So, as we're talking about this issue about Dak Prescott hate, let's look at this last segment. Again, Emmitt Smith been out here, y'all, running his mouth. It's like no matter what, if there was one person they had a microphone in the face of, it was Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt Smith is having a discussion about elite quarterback play. And let me show you one more graph before I show you that. Let me show you how crazy that this is. Let me show you how crazy it is and how you know Stephen A. Smith and Chris Can't See don't know ball. Look at this. These are the highest graded quarterbacks of 2025. Can somebody tell me look at this. Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I still don't understand what they use, so it is Pro Football Focus. Jordan Love, Dak Prescott. I would love to see how they graded this. Again, just continuing to show you the Dak Prescott hate. And we saw they got Drake May at number 8. Look at this. How ridiculous is this? They got Drake May at number 8 and Sam Darnold at number 9. I rest my case. This is crazy. This is crazy work. Poobie D, I believe you are 100% right. You got to hate the Cowboys to be on ESPN. I believe it. I believe it. This stuff is pure nonsense, man. Okay, so Emmitt Smith had another interesting conversation. I'm telling y'all, man.
I also think you're seeing it.
I even saw a clip today. Tell me how crazy this is, guys. Emmitt Smith was asked, let me see if I can find this real quick. Emmitt Smith was asked, who is his Mount Rushmore players? Anybody seen this clip?
You know what's hilarious?
Anybody seen this clip? Because Emmitt Smith's Mount Rushmore, who do you think the quarterback was? Who do y'all think for Emmitt Smith's Mount Rushmore? Who do y'all think his quarterback was? Man, I'm just telling you, Emmett, I agree with some things and I don't agree with some things. And when Emmett said his top Mount Rushmore quarterback, who do y'all think it is? Boy, Emmett be tripping, boy. Who do y'all think his Mount Rushmore quarterback is before I play this clip? When I heard Emmitt Smith give his Mount Rushmore, I'm going to give you one even more crazier about what Emmitt Smith said. Who do y'all think his Mount Rushmore wide receiver is? I mean, Emmitt Smith, boy, I'm like, man, there are just some things for me. There are just some things for me, man. I got to have some bias in some of the things I'm talking about. Man, if you start asking me about my favorite players, I'm a 3-time Super Bowl winning running back who has played with some 3-time Super Bowl winning players and Hall of Fame players. I'm sorry, man, just on reflex, if you're going to ask me who is my top wide receiver, who is my top quarterback, who is my top offensive lineman, top defense, man, I'm not saying anybody but the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to be mad at me. Every player they ask me about, I'm going to tell you. Dallas, who's your favorite player? Man, I don't care if it's the punter. Whoever the punter was on my team in them 3 Super Bowls, those are going to be my players. Boy, I want y'all to listen to Emmett, boy. Emmett be on some nut, man. Hey, man, I like Emmett. But, boy, Emmett can be on some, I guess it's his opinion. But for me, man, Emmett be on some bull junk. Look at this, man. Listen to Emmett. Let me see, wait a minute. Robowski, he said Jerry Rice, Andre Reed, Irvin, and T.O. Okay. Football fanatic. I've been trying to imagine it the whole week, football fanatic. Could you imagine Dak with the Seahawks defense? Yes, I've been trying to. Believe me when I tell you, I've been trying to imagine Dak Prescott. I've been trying to imagine Dak Prescott with that Seattle Seahawks defense. And boy, it brings a tear to my eye, boy. We've already repeated with that defense. Booby D said he probably said Rice, Mouse, T.O., and Irvin. Boy, y'all's mind is about to be blown. Jerry Best said it better be Troy Aikman. Watch this. Listen to what this man says as far as his Mount Rushmore go.
NFL Mount Rushmore. Which 4 faces are going up on the mountain?
I mean, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Tom Brady.
What? Do what? You know what? I'm not going to tell you that Tom Brady is not the GOAT, because I would say if I'm talking to someone in my private life, boy, I'm going to have a hard time not saying Troy Aikman. That's who I played with. I mean, I ain't going to kill him for saying it, but God, come on, man. This man said Tom Brady. Wait a minute. Listen to his wide receiver, y'all. Check this out. Listen to his wide receiver.
In the quarterback position, Jerry Rice.
What? I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry, Cowboys Nation. This too much honesty for me, man. This is too much honesty for me. How you gonna say Tom Brady and Michael Irvin?
In the wide receiver position, Emmitt Smith.
Wait. Isn't it funny what he did at the running back position? Isn't it funny what he did at the running back position? When he said Mount Rushmore running back, he didn't even say at the running back position. He said me, Emmitt Smith, at the running back position. Now, when it comes to himself, he biased. But when it comes to everybody else, he got truth serum. Now, I've been around a little while. I've been alive a little while. Emmitt is a bad boy. We ain't finna tear Emmitt down. But if you talking about running, man, it's been some bad boys out there, man. It's been some bad boys out there at running back position. There are some people who would argue that Barry Sanders, people like Jim Brown. I mean, there are some people out there that can put up the juice. Man, I'm going to tell you something. People don't realize how good the Juice was. Juice got a 2,000-yard season, I believe, in a 12, it might have been a 12 or 14 game season. Man, people don't understand how good Orenthal was. It's amazing to me he got true serum when it comes to everybody else. And when it comes to running back, he say himself. Boy, he been killing me with this. Booby D, you better tell him about Walter Payton, boy. Boy, you better tell him about Walter Payton. Boy, it's been some showed-up running backs out there. Boy, when it come to everybody else, he got true serum. When it come to himself, I don't know. I guess he say I guess he gonna choose himself. And then look at his last position.
In the running back position, Deion Sanders in the DB position.
NFL.
Golly, boy. Man. Emmett, man. Emmett, man, come on, man. Come on, man. Angel Eye said, yeah, it's only right that he named himself. You know he wasn't going to let that slide by. Angel Eye, this is amazing. When it come to running back, he going to say him. But when it come to everybody else, he got true serum. Boy, this man got true serum with everybody else, boy. Boy, when I heard this from Emmett, I said, come on, man. Man, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying on principle, man. I'm just saying on principle. I couldn't name anybody but the players that rode with me and helped me to become the best running back with the, the most yards in most years. I got to talk about the guys who rode with me, man. I don't care what nobody say. Each his own. All right. So let's look at Emmitt Smith. And Emmitt Smith is having a conversation about elite quarterbacks. Elite quarterback and elite quarterback play. Thought it was a great conversation. Check this out.
A little more. I mean, this year it's not like the elite quarterbacks are.
Miss Major said, was Emmitt Smith giving props? He had to be giving some. Because I'm telling you now, Troy, my quarterback, and he done been through 3 Super Bowls, done been in the foxholes. Nah, man. I ain't naming nobody. Hey, who my best, Mount Rushmore, best quarterback, Troy Aikman. Wide receiver, Michael Irvin. Defensive back, I could say he got that right. but the red man, come on, man. Mr. Massachusetts, he said him and got a concussion before the questions. Boy, but I saw, Massachusetts, I said, what is going on with Emmett, man? What is going on with Emmett? This is why I'm saying, even when he was talking about GP, he made some good points about GP. But when he said if GP went somewhere else, would he be good? He said, I doubt it. I was like, wait a minute, Emmett. Come on, Emmett. Come on, man. Robowski said, when in Emmett's defense, Jerry was the consummate pro. Robowski, I'm not saying that his answer wasn't right. That's not my issue. I just couldn't name Jerry Rice when Mike has been in the foxhole with me. And knowing the receiver and the leader Mike was. Man, I ain't got time for no truth serum, bro. I ain't got time. You start talking about Mount Rushmore to me, I'm rolling with the guys who helped me get to where I am. That's all. That's all I'm saying, Robowski. I'm biased when you start talking about my team. Irvin's extracurricular activities off the field, I'm sure Troy and Emmett gave Troy and Emmett plenty of headaches back then. Big Robowski, let me tell you something. This, for me, is what made Michael Irvin so special. Michael Irvin had all this going on and never let his team down on the field. I mean, until later on in his career. But during that Super Bowl run, no. They had the White House going on in 95. Still won the Super Bowl. Nah, I ain't, man. Man, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Bass said circle back to Emmett later. Man, ain't no way. He said the pain man stuff went over his shoulder. Man, ain't no way. JCT said Emmons is right about the elite quarterbacks. Allen, Lamar, and Burrow, when it comes down to it, are no better than Dak, no ring. Oh, okay, you've already seen this? Okay, let's watch it, JCT Slice. I'm still laughing at the previous clip. All right, let's go.
All made the Final Four.
Say
the
that
Super Bowl.
again.
It's not like the elite quarterbacks made the Super Bowl
Say it
or
again.
the Final Four.
It's not like the who?
Emmett, the elite quarterbacks are at home.
Name the elite quarterbacks you talking about that are at home.
Patrick Mahomes is at home.
Nah, that's elite.
Lamar Jackson's at home. Josh Allen. Joe Burrow.
Oh, it's only one elite quarterback then. It's only one elite quarterback you're talking about. So you see what I'm saying? That's the power of marketing. There's only one elite quarterback that you just mentioned out of the 4 quarterbacks that you just talked about. Patrick Mahomes.
The other guys aren't elite?
Hell no.
Okay.
They're not elite.
Explain that, Emmett. That's a bit of a controversial take.
Oh, my
Why is that
gosh.
a controversial take?
Well,
what makes the other 3 elite versus him? I'm gonna let you gonna answer your own question.
Sure.
What makes the other 3 elite?
So I think an elite player props open a championship window wherever he goes. Those 4 quarterbacks, whether they're in Baltimore or they're in Miami or they're on Mars, they can get their team into a championship mix unless there's extenuating circumstances. That is what I believe to be elite quarterbacks. Those are the 4 guys to me.
That's what you believe.
That's what.
And that is a lie. That is a lie. We don't know what Patrick Mahomes would have been without Andy Reid. Unlike a lot of people, I saw Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes was not a number 1 overall quarterback. He was not the number 1 overall pick. Hindsight is 2020. They didn't view Patrick Mahomes the way they view Patrick Mahomes now. But what if Patrick Mahomes didn't have Andy Reid? I'm going to make sure I'm going to have to get that Maury Povich sound effect. That is a lie. That was a pure lie. What does make a quarterback elite? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what makes him elite? I don't think winning Super Bowls make a quarterback necessarily elite. We can go back and add context to many of these Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. You think about Tom Brady, the failure of the Atlanta Falcons with that huge lead. The Seattle Seahawks choosing to throw the ball at the 1-yard line. When you look at the tuck rule against, who was it? The Raiders? There are so many things that play into context when you start talking about elite quarterback play. And I do believe that Tom Brady is an elite quarterback. But he wasn't always an elite quarterback. And Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls while not being an elite quarterback. John Elway, when he won his 2 Super Bowls, was not because of elite quarterback play. It was because they got a defense in Terrell Davis. When we look at Eli Manning, there is nobody who will tell you that Eli Manning was an elite quarterback. Nobody will tell you that. And I believe Eli Manning is going to have a hard time getting into the Hall of Fame. Even when we look at his brother, Peyton Manning. The only Super Bowl that we can really say Peyton Manning was a great quarterback was with the Colts. But those other Super Bowls, or that other Super Bowl, he was carried. What makes a quarterback elite? I mean, I think it takes a lot of time to watch a quarterback. And this is why I would say that even with Dak Prescott, I would say Dak Prescott is showing that he's an elite quarterback. The problem with Dak Prescott is the same thing with Joe Burrow. I think we can absolutely classify Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott as elite quarterbacks. They are elite quarterbacks with bad defenses and shaky offensive lines. Miss Matrix said, no, we don't, G. We can take an educated guess to say Mahomes wouldn't be anywhere near what he is now had any other team drafted him. I agree, Miss Matrix. I agree. I mean, to start talking about elite quarterbacks, I think it takes time. And I think we are at a point, Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott, I really say they are elite quarterbacks. They both have been dealt bad hands. Joe Burrow has been to the Super Bowl. He had an elite team. I believe they got cheated in the Super Bowl against the Rams. But I think that's a tall glass when you start talking about that. But this guy said that a quarterback who goes anywhere and opens up that window. And I think the only quarterback that we could probably have that conversation about could possibly be Tom Brady, because we saw Tom Brady not only win a Super Bowl with the Patriots, we saw Tom Brady win a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Tom Brady is in rare air. He really is. He's in rare air. Got to give it to him. He's in rare air, but to say that a Super Bowl or even Super Bowls, look at Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman was an absolute dog. He was an absolute leader. He was so tough. We ain't taking nothing away from Troy Aikman. But Troy Aikman also played on one of the best teams that ever stepped on the football field. I want what Troy Aikman had. Troy Aikman doesn't have to ever argue about being an elite quarterback. Troy Aikman had what I want Dak Prescott to have. Troy Aikman was a great quarterback on an elite team. Tell me which one you'd rather be. Would you rather be an elite quarterback on bad teams? Or would you rather be a great quarterback on elite teams? You tell me. Because I'm going to tell you which one I'd rather be. I'd rather be a great Hall of Fame quarterback on an elite team. Because I know doggone well I'm going to get Super Bowls. I promise you I get Super Bowls if I'm a great quarterback on an elite team. I'm going to get a Super Bowl. Ask Sam Darnold. Ask Trent Dilfer. Ask Eli Manning. Quarterbacks like that, even if they don't have an elite per se team, there is a quality of that team that you will be able to find that was elite. Sam Darnold, elite scoring defense. John Elway, elite running game. Peyton Manning on those Denver teams, elite defense. Russell Wilson, elite defense. Tom Brady early on, elite defense, and then he became elite later on. Go back and look at a lot of these teams. I would rather be a great quarterback on an elite team than be an elite quarterback on bad teams. An elite quarterback, they can't even hardly win. They can't win Super Bowls on a good team. I don't care who they are. Elite quarterbacks, they need elite teams. If they're going to win, they need elite teams. They do. I'm telling you, I'd rather be a great quarterback on an elite team than be an elite quarterback on a good team or a bad team. That's where I am. Sub-Zero, let me read a couple of these. Let me read the last one. I'm sorry. Sub-Zero said, hate that the Cowboys get is the reason why a lot of great players from the past got snubbed from the Hall of Fame. 70 players got ripped off. Yeah, 70s players. Yeah. Man, Cowboys have had some absolute great historic players. And because of that stigma of being a Cowboy. But again, I'm telling you, I'd rather be an elite player. I'd rather be a great player on an elite team. And I could say you could dare say that Emmitt Smith was a great running back on an elite team. Because Poobie D makes a point. Poobie D. Barry Sanders was an elite running back on good to mediocre teams. Barry offensive line was good, but running 5 receivers, no tight end, and no fullback hurt him sometimes. He was an elite running back on mediocre teams. Demetrius said, no disrespect to Brady, but I would put Joe Cool Montana over him every day. Yeah, I think that Joe Montana, I would say early Joe Montana and early Tom Brady, I would take Joe Montana. But as Tom Brady, with the age and how he was able to last, I would take older Tom Brady over older Joe Montana. But Joe Montana early in them years, we already had this conversation. I ain't going to bring it up again, Demetrius, about how Joe Montana had me crying in that Dallas Cowboy game when he threw that ball to Dwight Clark. We ain't going to bring that up again, though. Oh, man. Big Rambowski said Tom Brady and Peyton Manning would have succeeded wherever they went because their two best weapons were their accuracy and mechanics. Yeah, I give you that. Neither had the strongest arms, but those two is what made them great. But again, I mean, I get the conversation they're having.
I believe to be elite. You do not believe that?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay, explain why Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow not elite in your book.
First and foremost, Josh Allen had a chance to get his Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You saw how he played.
I see no lies there. We don't even have to go to the Brandon Cooks interception. What about the 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles he threw previous to that? And then the seam route he missed wide open before the Brandon Cooks interception. Yeah, he's elite, all right. No, he's not.
Elite
Great point.
quarterbacks rise up in extreme circumstances and leads his squad. He puts them on his back and he carries them to where they need to go. Elite quarterbacks show up when others are not showing up. Elite players show up when others don't show up. Elite players define the game. The game don't define who they are. And so when I look at Patrick Mahomes, I see an elite quarterback that learned how to overcome extreme circumstances. These others are learning how to become an elite quarterback.
To be fair, Patrick Mahomes has had great coaching. Andy Reid hands down is the best coach in the NFL, and I believe he's been the best coach in the NFL for the last 5 years. Andy Reid is an incredible coach. Andy Reid with players is unstoppable. Andy Reid got Michael Vick in his prime, Andy Reid would have won Super Bowls with Michael Vick.
I don't know if I agree, Emmett. I don't know if I agree. You're a Hall of Famer. You know so much more about football than me. But I'm looking.
You just gave me a backhanded compliment.
No.
You say I know so much football than you, and I'm a Hall of Famer.
Uh-huh.
But
oh man,
we can disagree.
Yeah, we can disagree, but we ain't gonna use no words like "but." However,
11-177 elite organizations.
You got me there. However, I do feel like we've seen. I'll give a good example. Patrick
feel
Mahomes.
like I know. I don't feel. I know. See, you feel.
That's
I know.
Canton. That's Canton right there.
I know.
Look at me. I'm nowhere near Canton.
Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Four Super Bowls.
Great.
Elite.
Yes.
Montana. 4 Super Bowls. Elite. Tom Brady. God knows how many Super Bowls.
7.
Elite.
7.
Troy Aikman. 3 Super Bowl wins straight. Elite. Dan Marino was even elite.
Okay, Emmett, it wasn't 3 straight Super Bowls. It was 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. And I'm not hating on Troy. Emmett's got to realize, though, the 92-93 Cowboys, they are historically one of the best teams we've ever seen. They are one of the best teams we have ever seen. And I'm including general manager and owner Jerry Jones. Because in 92-93, Jerry had his head screwed on right. Jerry had his head screwed on right in 92-93. Jerry was handling the marketing, and he was letting Jimmy handle the football, and they were both signing the players. He was listening to Jimmy. Man, I'm telling you, we can say anything we want to say about Jerry, and he has been the problem for the last 31 years. He's been a part of the problem. But from 88 to 92, no, Jerry was an elite GM. I know nobody's ever said that, but I'm going to give Jerry his flowers on that. Jerry was an elite GM. He brought in Jimmy. He let Jimmy bring in his staff. He handled the marketing. Jimmy handled the players. They were both involved in the Herschel Walker trade. He listened to Jimmy. They made the trades. They got the players. They put the team together. They put together an elite team. I have a hard time with saying elite as I talk about individual players as it pertains to the 92-93 Cowboys. But if you tell me that they were an elite team, they were unstoppable as a unit. They were unstoppable. They were elite as a team. Every piece played off of every piece. The offensive line was better because of Emmett's vision as a runner. Emmett was better because of the offensive line. Michael was Michael because of the offensive line and the running. Troy was able to play action because of Emmett. Troy was able to do some things because of how great Michael Irvin was. They all had a mentality they had because of how hard Jimmy drove them in practice. They were an elite team. I don't know when I'm talking about the 92-93 Cowboys. I just can't point to, like some people would probably like to. It is the one team for me. It's an anomaly. I can't point to one player on the 92-93 Cowboys that I would take off those teams. They were an elite team. And that's something that a lot of franchises, only the historical franchises can say. The Cowboys were an elite team, top to bottom, GM to the water boy and water girl. Great wide receiver, great running back, great quarterback, great offensive line, great defensive line, great edge rusher as in Haley. Just great. But as a unit, elite. That's why when he says Troy Aikman, it's not that I'm not saying that Troy Aikman wasn't great, because he was a ferocious leader. He was a dog. But man, Troy played on one of the greatest teams to ever play the game. Emmett played on one of the greatest teams to ever play the game. Because again, I told y'all last night, I'm just telling you, just go look at the history. Troy for 5 years. His career is 5 years. Everything before and after that, it was a struggle. But for about 5 years, the Dallas Cowboys, and this is where everybody wants us to get back to. I'm telling you now, we don't want the best quarterback. We have one of the best quarterbacks, and I'm not saying we don't want him, but what I'm saying is, I know what Dak is. Dak doesn't have to prove to me anything. I don't care if Dak throws 35 touchdowns next season. I don't care if Dak Prescott throws for 5,000 yards next season. I don't care about any of those things with Dak Prescott. Why? Because I already know what Dak Prescott is. He's an elite quarterback. But I don't want him to be, it's not that I don't want him to be elite. I want him to be on an elite team. Because if he's on an elite team, I know we're going to win the Super Bowl. I want a team that is less Dak dependent play-wise and is more dependent upon Dak leadership-wise. That's what I want for the Cowboys. I want Dak Prescott to be on the best team, the same way Troy was, to be on an elite team. I get what Emmett is saying, but the Cowboys didn't really put Troy in a lot of those situations. They didn't put Troy in situations where about 10 to 12 games a season. Troy was having to bail the Cowboys out in 92, 93. They didn't do that to Troy. Troy Aikman may have had 3 of those games, maybe 4 or 5 tops, where Troy had to be the reason why they won a game. Nope, they didn't do Troy like that. Troy wasn't put in those situations a lot. Go back and look at some of those playoff games. They were absolutely dominant on defense. They terrorized quarterbacks. They were incredible. I want the Dallas Cowboys to be an elite team, and that's what I want Emmett to be. I mean, I'm sorry, that's what I want Dak to do. I want Dak to be on an elite team like Troy was.
Elite. But how can, using the argument, how could you say Dan Marino is elite and then say someone like Josh Allen?
I would say Dan Marino was elite. Dan Marino may be the best thrower of the football we've ever seen in our life.
Lamar Jackson, Joe
Because
Burrow.
that's all that Miami had was
Okay.
Dan
Yeah.
Marino.
Okay.
That's all that they had.
Dan was crazy with it.
Sadly to say, and I blame this on Mr. Schuler, he didn't do enough to help Dan Marino be better than just relying on his arm the whole time. John Elway did not become elite until they brought
Terrell
Shanahan
Davis
in and had Terrell Davis back there running that rock.
Yeah.
Didn't I say it earlier? I hadn't even watched this interview. Watch this. I'm old enough to remember this. Anybody old enough to remember this? Tell me, when was Elway better? When was Elway a better quarterback? Before Terrell Davis or after Terrell Davis? He was a better quarterback before Terrell Davis, but he needed Terrell Davis to win the Super Bowl because John Elway was similar to Dak Prescott, even though he got the Super Bowls. They were relying way too much on John Elway. What did Shanahan do? Shanahan put together an elite team, and that's how Elway got his 2 Super Bowls. They didn't need Elway to do as much. They had a great defense, and they let Terrell Davis and that offensive line pound the rock.
That's when he became truly elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
There's
team
there's a
became
lot
elite.
there. Joe Burrow plays for a franchise where they don't even keep their they're letting Jesse Bates walk out the door. They're not maximizing the roster every year. I think there's excuses is the wrong word. I think there's reasons those guys haven't won a Super Bowl. By the way, Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl, and if Aaron Donald is half a step slower, they may have won that game. So that's where I'm coming from on the elite thing. But listen, I like the take.
I think Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott both are elite. I believe Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow are both elite, but they're suffering from the same thing. They are not playing on elite teams because they have had poorly ran teams. And while Jerry, I believe, is better than Cincinnati to a degree, I still say Jerry has done a good job with players, but Jerry hasn't done a good job with his teams because Jerry has been in the way sometimes. It's just now that, again, we're watching Jerry. We're finally seeing, I believe, the 1991, 92, 93 Jerry. And I think we're going to get some results out of it.
It's going to be very easy for you to sit there and give the milquetoast take everybody's given. I appreciate where you're coming from.
All I'm saying, I don't like to throw words around to everybody because I like the guys that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I respect your position. However, elite quarterbacks do things that's so extraordinary.
Yeah.
And they bring others with them. They don't do it all by themselves. They know how to bring others with them. Damn.
I still say, though, even what Emmett is saying right there, I think that's a very subjective take. It's a very subjective take. Reason being, again, what is Troy Aikman without Emmitt Smith in that running game? What is Troy Aikman? What is John Elway if he doesn't get Terrell Davis? What is Sam Darnold this year without that defense? I mean, we saw what Sam Darnold is without that defense. We saw him last year in Minnesota. He didn't have that defense. What are these quarterbacks without certain players? What are they? That question has to be answered. There is narrowly a quarterback. When you go back historically and look at teams and games that have truly put a team on their back, those are very rare occasions in the grand scheme of things. There are so many moving parts and so many things that need to happen in order for those quarterbacks sometimes to get those moments. Very subjective when we start saying that kind of stuff. You got to go back and look at games in context.
Arena would throw you to the point where you have no choice but to catch the ball. He would hit you in your face with it, and it would be accurate. And
Dan
if you
was
didn't
elite.
catch it, that was on you. That was on you.
You see that with Mahomes sometimes.
But Dan is an elite quarterback that didn't play with an elite team.
It's like he'll throw a ball so fast, the guy kind of just like falls down. He's like, oh, what the hell?
Exactly. So, because Mahomes, he's an elite quarterback, and he has elite arm talent, just like our kid out of the Rams.
Yeah, Stafford.
Matthew Stafford. His throwing ability has an elite arm talent. I'm looking for Jordan Love to step up in those areas. Aaron Rodgers was that guy and had that.
Don't you ever in your life mention Jordan Love in the same conversation as Aaron Rodgers. Man, let me tell y'all something. My sons, I have to explain it to them. They be going, they look at Aaron Rodgers today and they like, oh, Dad, I don't see what you're talking about with Aaron Rodgers. Go back and look at the tape. Aaron Rodgers is, man, let me tell you, in this man's heyday, he is top 3 in throwing the football I've ever seen. When I tell you Aaron Rodgers could spin it, Aaron Rodgers could spin it. Aaron was a great thrower of the football. Mike McCarthy wasted a lot of that man's career. It's a travesty to only get one Super Bowl and you were with Aaron Rodgers that long. Brambowski talking about Steve Berline again. Hey, man, I already talked about Steve Berline. Man, Steve Berline could have took that 92 team to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying he would have been as good as Troy. I'm not saying he would have been good as Troy. I'm just saying he could have done it. He had a great season the year before that. Sub-Zero. Jimmy Johnson was a dog trainer. It's hard to find those kind of coaches today. Jimmy was a dog trainer. Mike T back in the crib. Boy, Jay Novacek. Boy, you better say it. Miss Matrix. What's holding us back now? You really think it's the cap? No. What's been holding this team back for years is that Jimmy has never put together a team. Jerry has never put together a team since Jimmy Johnson. He's been trying to prove that he can put together a team. He hasn't been able to do it. But I do think he's about to put together a team. He's about to put together a team because I believe he's listening to Shoddy. I think he's going to listen to Christian Parker. I think he's going to listen more to Will McClay and let him do a little bit more leeway. Yeah, Mike T. Yeah, the reason why he had those head injuries is simple. He wasn't playing on the same type of teams. Not only was he not playing on the same type of teams, he didn't have the same coaching. See, what people don't realize about the 92-93 Cowboys, it was the coaching. They had a great cast, but they had a great coach. He was a dog trainer. He absolutely was. The same way Tom Landry was. People don't realize, man, Tom Landry was a dog trainer. You want dogs? Get you a dog trainer. That's what Tom Landry was. That's what Jimmy Johnson was. They were dog trainers. Man, I'm telling you. They were just different. They really were. They were just different. Ron Hanna said, facts, G, that's what Dax need, an elite team. Hopefully we can get there this year. The defense just need to be average because our offense is elite. I think our defense is going to be elite. I believe Christian Parker. I think he's going to be elite. I think he's going to help him. 11. Let me tell you something, 11-177. Marino was accurate too. Mike T, Troy had a short career. Actually, Mike T, in the grand scheme of things, Troy didn't have a short career. Troy Aikman actually played 12 years. He played 12 years. He did. Problem is, he's like a lot of quarterbacks. He didn't have the team no more. And not so much even the team. He didn't have the coaching. Man, Jerry took for granted the coaching. I quote, what did Jerry say? Jerry said anybody could have coached those 92, 93 Cowboys to the Super Bowl. Do I agree a little bit? But this is what Jerry missed. But not anybody could have coached those teams into being able to win those 92, 93 Cowboys. That's what Jerry didn't realize. Jimmy put his fingerprint and his DNA on the 92, 93, 94, 95 Cowboys. That's what Jerry missed. Those players were extensions of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy drove him hard, man. Jimmy drove him hard. He did. Bottom line. Jimmy drove him hard. He really did. Jimmy created that team. He created the persona, the personality, the mentality. Jimmy was a dog trainer. Jimmy didn't tolerate losing. And that's the one thing that Jerry tolerates losing. He does. Jerry doesn't understand it, but he tolerates losing. Losing was not an option for Jimmy. And that's the difference in these teams today. Losing was not an option for Jimmy. Jimmy didn't play losing. You were afraid to lose if Jimmy was your coach. You were afraid to lose. Jimmy was different. That was Jimmy's mentality. That's what Jerry has been missing. Tom Landry didn't tolerate losing. Tom Landry didn't start losing himself until the game passed him by. The game passed Tom Landry by. The game passed him by. Some of the players got older. Some of the personnel decisions that Tom started making towards the end, they didn't quite work. I mean, you just miss. But Tom Landry was a dog trainer until he wasn't. The game passes everybody by at some point. I don't think Jimmy, a lot of people still be talking about Jimmy. I've told y'all this before. I don't think Jimmy, I listened to Jimmy, and Jimmy is not the same Jimmy from 1992 and 93. That's not the same Jimmy. See, that Jimmy today is talking from the mindset of happily married, living out there on the Florida coast, fishing all the time, living life. 1988 Jerry, 1989 Jerry, divorced his wife, lived at the Cowboys facility, and he ate, drank, and sleep football. What we've been watching with Jimmy, that's not the same Jimmy. Jimmy in 88 was fresh out of college. Jimmy was a recruiter. Jimmy knew a lot of the talent of the last 5 years of his era. Jimmy knew players that were coming into the pros. He knew a lot of players that were in the pros. He understood all of the talent acquisition. Jimmy, people don't understand, man. Jimmy Johnson was the perfect storm. Losing was not acceptable for Jimmy. Jimmy came from a national championship pedigree in college. Jimmy's life was player acquisition. Jimmy's life was building elite teams. Jimmy Johnson's DNA was all over the 1992. It came to fruition in 1992 and 93. And Jerry, I'm telling you, man, Jerry has been able to get players. He just hasn't been able to build a team. Jerry, what he missed, he isn't a dog trainer. And where Jerry is a dog trainer is not the same kind of dog trainer that Jimmy is. Jimmy is who you bring your Rottweiler to. Jimmy is who you bring your boxer to, your pit bull to. Jimmy is who you bring a dog that you want to fight to. Jerry, what's been Jerry's problem? Jerry is the kind of dog trainer that you bring your dog to when you want to put him into one of them dog shows. Where they be running around, jumping over stuff, walking around cones, rolling over, sitting down. And that's the kind of dog trainer Jimmy is being. I mean, Jerry is being all these years. Jerry is just now it's like he's just now realizing, I got to get me another dog trainer. Now, I don't know whether or not at this point, I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer is that dog trainer, because now you got the CB, what is it, the CBA and all of these different rules. I don't know if you can do. I mean, you couldn't coach teams the way, I mean, Jimmy would put them pads on anytime he want to. You can't even do that this year. Kevin Edwards. Yep, Landry drafted Michael. But Jimmy coached Irvin in college. Facts. So that's kind of what you're looking at, man, with this Cowboys team. And so we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. I'm excited for this team, man. I believe Brian is on the right track. I really do. I believe Brian is on the right track. Jerry is doing some great things. Jerry is letting Brian handle some things. He's letting Christian Parker handle some things. Now we're going to see Brian Schottenheimer. Now, I want to see Brian Schottenheimer now without Matt Eberflus. I don't think Matt Eberflus matched Brian Schottenheimer. I want to see what Brian Schottenheimer looks like, because I really question on whether or not, Matt Eberflus might have been challenging Brian Schottenheimer. As in, this is the way I want to run the team. Okay, you run your offense the way you want to run it. I'm going to run my defense the way I want to run it. But now I believe that Brian is finally going to be able to be the coach of the team. He's the elder statesman of the team and the coaching staff. So now I want to see, what does it look like with Brian now, I believe, having a defensive coordinator, I believe, that's going to share the same energy. Having a defensive coordinator that he believes in what he's bringing to the table. I want to see what he looks like now that he's actually going to have control of the team. Because Brian Schottenheimer is going to have control of the team now. I want to see what he looks like. This year is going to tell us a lot. And I'm telling you, there'll be no excuses. Jerry has put this team, in a sense, he's putting this team in the hands of Brian, and he's saying, okay, I'm going to give you what you want. I want you to produce. I want you to produce. Ron Hanna said, now, gee, that's the absolute best take I've heard you say about the Jimmy and Jerry comparison, brother. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. I'm telling you. Jerry's a different kind of dog trainer. Shoot, Jimmy, shoot. Man, Jimmy, man. Shoot, Jimmy, who you leave your pit bull with. Especially back in them days. I don't think so now. But back then, shoot, Jimmy gave up life for football. I'm telling you, when I watched that documentary, I said there was no way the Cowboys were not going to succeed. Jimmy was a different animal. I don't think we'll ever see anything like him again. Jimmy was a different animal, man. Miss Matrix said, I'm sorry, but I'm so overshot. He wasn't a fan of the hire, and he hasn't yet changed my mind. Miss Matrix, he's going to get his opportunity to change your mind this year. Miss Matrix, do you know what Jerry has done? Jerry has finally done something that I don't think he's done in years, since Bill Parcells. And I don't even think he gave Parcells this kind of Black American Express card. I don't even think he did this for Parcells. Jerry is giving Brian Schottenheimer the keys. Giving him the keys. He let him pick his own defense coordinator. He's got him a young guy who I believe is going to listen to him. He is now officially over the entire team. I don't think Brian felt like he was over the entire team with Matt Eberflus. I think it was a problem for him. I really do. I think he was having problems with Matt Eberflus. I don't think Matt Eberflus was challenging him as in speaking out against him, but one of the worst challenges you can give your leader is for him to have a certain kind of energy and be giving a certain kind of direction, and you're going in a different direction. That's one of the worst challenges you can give your leader. And I don't think Brian knew how to deal with Matt Eberflus. How did you deal with him? How do you deal with him? He's older than you. He's got a lot of his staff on the defense. How do you deal with him? But I think Brian dealt with him in a very strategic manner. Brian Schottenheimer got in that room on him. Got in that room, tried to help him out, tried to help him make some changes, only for him to revert back, only for the defense to continue to be terrible. Brian showed that he was a worker and showed that Matt Eberflus was stubborn. I think Brian strategically showed who was who. Hawk R4G, Jerry, go get the poodles. That's who you bring your poodles to. That's who you bring your poodles to. Yes, sir. Man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. Yeah, Rod Curry. Jerry's not a ringmaster. Jerry is a country club owner. That's what Jerry is. Yeah, Jerry's a country club owner. That's why Dallas has one of the best facilities you'll ever see in your life. Yeah. All right. Cowboy fans, man, I hope y'all enjoyed every single segment tonight. Man, I had to dig and dig and dig to get these segments, but we got them and we got it in. I hope y'all I hope y'all share this content with people. Let them know, man. Hey, man, we just come in and do what we do. We dig, man, and we come up and we just come with the facts the best way we can. So again, I appreciate y'all. Best chat on YouTube, bar none. Until the next time, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys where we talk facts. Peace.